Hello, friends. How's it going? Sahil, love from India. Yo, isn't it like 3:30 in India? That's what I think Sebi told me. Um, India time. Yo, it's like 3:31 a.m. Oh my God, thank you so much for joining, despite it being 3:30 a.m. Really appreciate it. How's everybody doing? Raphael, Brazil in the house. Hey, Sebi. Ooh, you actually showed up. Oh my God. Summon me, demonic music plays in background. Well, no sleep for you then. Ibrahim, how's it going? Thanks for showing up. Hello. Let's see. Sebi was sleeping and got summoned. Now I'm awake. Wow. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I will try to my best to make sure that what we talk about today is worth the lack of sleep. I'll try my best. All right, so let's wait for maybe like 4 more minutes or so we can start around like 5:05 to see if there's anybody else that's gonna trickle in. Um, let's see. Sebi, how's life? How's your Saturday? My Saturday was good. Good. I kind of just chilled. Went over, so I actually like went over some of the notes that I made for this live stream. So because we have a lot of stuff to cover. What else did I do? I took I took my dog out for a walk and to the vet because he needed his vaccinations. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. And then I took a nap right before, so I'm all like refreshed now. Ibrahim, Tina summoned you. Mr. X, how's it going? Hey, Farhan, thanks for joining. How? Midnight in France. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Yusuf, hello from Morocco. Hey, we have at least 2 Moroccans down. Ibrahim's here too. Luke, hey! Just finished popping my popcorn. I'm ready for this. Oh man, now I have pressure now. Luke, yo, I have so much pressure. I gotta be more entertaining. Iman, hey there. Jasmine, hello from Singapore. How's it going? Mohammed, hello from Morocco too. Hey, we have a bunch of Moroccans here today. Rajat, how is Datacamp for learning data analysis? That is what we're going to cover today. We'll be focusing more on data science, but I'll be going through the platform pretty in depth, so I think you'll have a pretty good understanding of for data analysis as well. Hijaja, I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sorry. Hello from Indonesia. Hey, Bernadani. Hello, miss. Are you okay? I'm pretty good. I'm quite okay. Thank you. Alfredo. Hello from Colombia. Hey, Alan. Went through an intensive econometrics project for the past few weeks. Now binging on anime and relaxing. That is the best, isn't it? It's like after you work hard, then you feel, and then you start watching anime and you feel really relaxed because you deserve it. Unlike when you're just like procrastinating and watching anime, then it's like does not feel as good. Mr. X, start. 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Let's wait for to see if anybody else trickles in. Sebi, my first red eye stream. If you fall asleep, Sebi, let me know on Monday. Hello from London. Hey, Dominican Republic. Yo, we have such a great variety of country representing here. 1 a.m. in Kenya too. Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for joining. You know what? As Sabi recommended, next time I'll put out a poll for a time instead, because I think that mornings for me might actually work better for most of you guys here, as opposed to 5 p.m. And then all you guys are like 3 a.m. Max, how's it going? Hey, love your blazer. Thank you. I'm trying to look up professional today. I'm like, do I look like more professional than normal? Martin, hello from Northern California. Wow, Deutschland, Morocco, yo, this is awesome. And New York, UAE. Thank you all so much for coming. And Miami, Pride from South Africa. All right, shall we get started today? All right, so I'm just gonna give like a brief intro of what's up today, and kind of how this live stream is gonna work. So we have a lot of material to cover, but I do want this still to be pretty interactive. So please like leave comments, talk to each other in the live stream. I'll be monitoring it throughout as well. If I don't get to like, if I don't answer your questions straight out, please don't be offended. What I want to do is like after each course, I'm going to be covering them one by one, but not course, like each like program, I guess, each resource, we're going to have like a slight Q&A for maybe 10 minutes or so. And in the end, I'll stay behind and we can have more Q&As about just like comparisons between all of them. How does that sound? Does that sound good? But please feel free to keep like messaging in the live stream chat and just talk to each other, answering each other's questions if you're able to as well. All right, so what we're going to cover today, so I'm going to go for an overview of each of these resources. We're going to start off with Datacamp and then Dataquest, and then we're going to end with, last but definitely not least, 365 Data Science Udemy's 365 Data Science Udemy Complete Data Science Bootcamp. That's a mouthful. And for each of these, I'm going to talk about the time dedication, the material and content. We're going to dive in. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like, the learning style, whether it's project-based or not, because those of you who know me very well, I'm very like interested in things being project-based because I think it's the best way to learn. We're talking about the support system, a help system that's available, the career prospects and what kind of support they offer on the career side, as well as the cost. And then I'll talk about the pros and cons of each, who I think it's best suited for, and some tips if you choose to use that resource, like kind of how that fits into your whole learning journey, and what to do next after it, or what to do while you're using the resource, if that makes sense. And I just want to be completely clear with you guys. This is not sponsored by any of these companies. I actually bought Datacamp and Dataquest myself with my own money completely. For 365 Data Science, I have a working relationship with them already because I'm making a course with them. So Ned, the CEO, was kind enough to actually give me a link so I can look at the Udemy course without having to pay for it. But again, everything is completely my opinion. Nobody is telling me anything. Nobody's controlling anything that I'm saying, and I'm not obligated to say anything. So just getting that out of the way. All right, so also if you see me looking down, it's because I actually wrote notes just to make sure I cover everything that I want to cover. All right, Savvy, disclaimer, yes. Disclaimer, just telling you guys, nobody's paying me to do this. I'm not even getting paid to do this. Even though I do have like a couple affiliate links at the bottom, that's like just referral codes and stuff, but all my thoughts. All right, well, it looks like nobody has extreme objections here. If you do have an extreme objection, do let me know. But seeing as we all seem like it's all good, let's get started. All right. So first one that we're looking at is Datacamp. So I'll just give you guys like a very brief summary and then we'll jump into the actual resource. So Datacamp is a self-paced data science, primarily data science platform, although they do have data analysis and data engineering courses as well. And it's a self-paced online platform that you go on, and it's supposed to be like, they promise that if you use this resource that you're gonna go from like 0 to hero, essentially. Like you're gonna go from literally knowing nothing, you don't have to know anything, and all the way up to being entry level as a data scientist, as a data analyst, or as a data engineer. So that's their claim. So they all have, let's see, what else do I have written here? Blah, blah, blah. Yep, that's pretty much it. Okay, let's just jump into the resource. Let's see, how do I show you guys my screen? Good? All right. So I think you guys can see my screen now. Let me just jump to here as well. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. This is just the dashboard they have. Ignore all the little other tabs that I have open here. It's mostly just to make sure that, you know, I'm going through them sequentially and I don't have to like try to find stuff. But yeah, as you can see, I already like started doing some of these. I'm working through some of these myself, just kind of getting a feel for it. I've been testing it out for around like the past couple weeks or so, so that when I'm doing this, like I have already gotten like a grasp of what it feels like. All right, so this is what it looks like. So first, it's very like, you know, it's very nice and clean, very pretty looking, I must say. And here we're gonna look at the career track. So I'm most interested in data scientist with Python here. So that's what I'm gonna like start off by looking at. So they have a bunch of other ones like R programmer, data science with R, data analyst with R, Python programmer, a bunch of different stuff. Like there's like just a lot of tracks, and there's also a lot of courses as well. But let's start with the data scientist with Python track. All right, let's continue to track because I already started it. All right. So just kind of like a quick overview of this track. It's in Python. It's 88 hours, 23 courses, and you get 6 projects out of it. So it says it's 88 hours, but realistically, I would estimate it would probably take you like, I would say like 10 months. I think 10 months is appropriate because, you know, working through everything, like working through the video lectures, working through all the projects and stuff, is going to take you some substantial amount of time. And as you're going through this, I'll talk and do this a little bit further, but I don't think you should just like exactly follow everything and then just like, you know, be like, all right, I'm ready for a job now. Like there's other things that you should do afterwards as well. And while working on Datacamp as well. So I think honestly, like to be able to go from 0 to hero, I would say like around 10 months is a good bet here. So, okay, let's just quickly cover through each of the courses and then we'll like kind of double click into what it actually looks like, what it feels like, and then also like looking at some of the projects and stuff. Okay, so first, like, you know, they go from introduction to Python. Oh, great, I scored 113. See, gamified. It's also very gamified, which I actually kind of like. So then intermediate Python. Then we have a project over here, and then data manipulation with pandas. They generally have like an assessment and a project every like 1 or 2 courses afterwards. And then we have joining data with Python, with pandas, more projects here, data visualization. And then they talk about Python data science toolkits, where they talk more about like how to actually use Python and using the functions and things like that, object-oriented programming wise, but in a data science perspective. So they have part 1 and part 2. And then we have data visualization with Seaborn. And then importing data into Python, like how to actually get your data into Python and how to clean it. So intermediate importing data into Python, cleaning data, working with dates and time. This is something that's going to come up a lot if you're doing like time series stuff. Writing functions in Python, exploratory data analysis, statistical thinking. They have a couple courses on statistical thinking. It doesn't cover like the ML statistics. It's more just like hypothesis testing and just like general stats that you kind of need, like confidence intervals, things like that you need as a data scientist. And then after that, they end with machine learning. So they start off with supervised machine learning using scikit-learn, unsupervised learning, machine learning with tree-based models in Python, and then cluster analysis. And that's it. Then you get your statement of accomplishment. So it's pretty comprehensive. It really goes like all the way, like starting with Python and just building it up and then going through like all the steps of mostly a typical data science project. I'm just going to stop right there and check the stream, see if anybody has any comments over here. I'll talk about the costs. I'll talk about the cost like in a bit. Like I'll talk about the cost structure. It is a subscription-based model. Yeah, they do have separate tracks with R and Python. Yeah, and they also split between like data analysis as well as data engineering and data science. And Sebi, yeah, 10 months seems reasonable. Yeah, I think it would honestly take you around 10 months or so. Max like Datacamp is going to take about 10 months for those who can't dedicate full time. I feel like, yeah, if you're like dedicated to it full time, you can probably knock it out in like 5 or 6 months, I want to say, or like a little bit less. It's just that there is a lot of material to cover, and it's not like you can just like go through Datacamp and then you're done, right? Like there's like it's not just like watching the videos and doing the project. There's like a lot more to it as well. Sebi, you get a 6 month Datacamp access if you use student tools of GitHub. I think there is that one as well. I'm not a student anymore, so I don't know the specifics about that. All right. So shall we jump into now? I wanted to talk a little bit more, like kind of clicking and actually showing you guys what one of the classes feels like, and then also looking at the projects, which I am pretty excited about. Let's just start off with introduction to Python. Why don't we? So let's go here. Okay, so the way it works is that, I think I've done like a few already, but it's actually video based. So, you know, you have like a talking head video, you have a guy talking about like, oh, this is Python, like, you know, these are things you can do with Python. And it's like throughout the courses, it's going to be like a combination of videos as well as like multiple choice questions, and then just like very hands-on based stuff as well. So we're like, okay, we got it. And then you can see like it really starts off with like, hey, like this is the Python interface. You don't have to set up any environments, which is quite nice. You know, sometimes it takes a lot of time and you run into a lot of bugs in setting it up. It's just like interactive. And then what you do is like you just do like whatever is over here, and then you submit your answer and you run the code. And then you kind of just have like a combination of this. And each time, like when they introduce a concept, it's going to be like video based. So it's going to tell you about stuff, and then you immediately get to implement whatever it is that you learn in that video. And it's pretty much like that throughout the entire thing, like throughout the entire track, if you want to call that, like all the courses, it's all pretty much based like that. So how do I go back? Try to go back. Cannot. How do I go back to my dashboard? Okay, back to phone. And I guess that's quite motivating as well. You're like, oh, like, you know, I'm so close. I should probably go back. So they have like these kind of inbuilt little motivation triggers and stuff, which I think is quite nice. Like if like playing games and having points and stuff is your thing, I think it's quite nice. Let's go back to where we were, which is career track. Yeah. And then I also wanted to show you guys, like, for example, after this, like you complete the course, right? And then it's like 4 hours. And then after that, you go and do an assessment. So I just kind of started off the assessment, you know, tried out like a few questions already. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Then you have like assessment like this. It's like, it's like fill in the blank. Like, I don't know how, personally, I don't think it's very, I don't really like that it's very fill in the blank based, because fill in the blank, it's like, there's like a huge emphasis on syntax. And just because you know the syntax doesn't really mean that you know how to code. And it kind of puts the wrong emphasis, in my opinion, on like syntax as opposed to concept. But with that being said, I think it's nice that, you know, you do get to practice here. So I guess in this case, might as well just do it. So define a function named hours to seconds. Okay, so we're gonna go like def here and then put hours, right? And then you just really like submit answer. I guess, yeah, they don't tell you if you're right or not until you finish everything. But yeah, that's kind of what it looks like in terms of the assessment. Checking back to see if you guys have any questions or any comments. Also thank you, mods. Thanks mods for being here. Please keep doing your mod roles. I appreciate it very much. Soy Boomer, your name. Sorry. Soy Boomer Doomer low IQ, not enough statistics. I agree with that completely. That's actually one of the cons that I'll be talking about later. I think there's not enough like mathematical emphasis, or at least like logical emphasis. It's very much like a sampling of different things, and it's very like coding based. Let's see. All right, so Subima, I'll be talking more about, like, you know, after we go through each of these platforms, then we'll be doing more of a comparison between them. So please stay tuned. All right, so I do want to show you guys, like, you know, now that we saw the lectures, I want to show you guys what a project looks like as well, because I think projects are the best way to learn, yada, yada, yada. I think they're amazing. This is how you actually, like, you know, get to solidify your knowledge. So in terms of projects, they have guided and unguided projects. And let me show you what the guided project looks like first. So I'm showing you the first one, but I kind of clicked through all the different projects. They're all pretty similar in structure. They just kind of get a little bit more complex as time goes on. But it's pretty much like, it's very, very guided. Like, they really, really hold your hands here. It's like, you know, you have your Jupyter notebook and it tells you exactly, like, first we need to import pandas, and then we do this. And then here's the instructions for everything that you do, right? And you can also take hints if you want. And then if you actually notice here, everything is like filled out for you. So you just like, you know, you're like import pandas as PD, like that. Like, it's very, very like guided here. And then it kind of gives you the next task, like, oh, like if I'm done with this one, then, you know, you click next task and you go on, and eventually you complete the entire notebook. So that's kind of what the guided one looks like. I think if you are more of like you haven't really coded at all before, you're kind of like nervous starting off, I think it's quite nice that they do it so guided. Like, it's very, very handheld. Let me also show you guys like what the unguided ones look like. For all of the guided projects, you can also do it unguided. My recommendation, honestly, is that you do it unguided if you can. Maybe doing like a couple guided first and then do it unguided. Because let me show you, like, the unguided one isn't actually super unguided either. It's actually still pretty guided in my opinion. Because it's still like, first you need to create a matplotlib scatter plot, and then you do like these things, and you want to exactly make it red, exactly make it orange, and make it light green. And, you know, do all these different things. What you'll notice is that it tells you like exactly what it is that you need to do. It's just that they don't like pre-fill the cells for you, but it's still like pretty guided in my opinion, because it's like telling you like, oh, these are the exact things that you need to do. While in reality, like most projects are going to be more like much more open-ended, right? You know, here's some data where like you have to actually go find your own data and then you're trying to figure out some insights from it. But here it's still like very, very guided. Hope that made sense. All right. See if we have any comments or questions. View noob, Datacamp always felt too easy. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think it's really tailored towards people who just like both have no experience and are more like, I want to say like more nervous, and they want to do things from like ground up. So that I can definitely see why you would think that. Elon Musk, how's that unguided? Yeah, I agree, right? I feel like it's still very, very guided. I think by unguided, they pretty much just mean like things are not filled in for you already. Like it's not exactly fill in the blank. So I think it's still like pretty guided. So if you're gonna use Datacamp, I think you might as well just do it unguided and just check your answers as opposed to just fill in stuff, because that's like not very like, just you fill in everything you probably like still don't actually know. Like if I gave you a data set, even though you did the guided one or even an unguided one, you probably still have a lot of trouble like knowing how to approach it, because you don't really get to like think what it is that you need to do by yourself. Rajat, not included any tracking access Tableau courses from skills tab. Yep, for sure. They also, this is just the data science tab. There's also like, you know, skills tab where there's actually like projects, startup projects, like courses on a bunch of other stuff that you want to do. That might not be covered under a career track. Cool. All right. So next off, what do I want to talk about? I'm just making sure I cover everything here. Yes. So I want to talk about, now that you kind of have a feel of the platform and what it looks like. So this is pretty much what it looks like. You have your progress, your groups, you know, all of these like things, and you have your assessments. And another one that I wanted to bring emphasis to is the support system that they have. So they do have a Slack community over here. Let me see. I'm pretty sure I already joined the Slack community. Let me just like do it off screen just in case I reveal my password of some sort. Let me give me a second. I just want to show you guys what it actually looks like. It's telling me to select bicycles right now, so I'm just selecting fire hydrants and whatnot. Okay, whatever. Okay, we can come back to that. But I honestly just tell you, I'm sure most of you guys know like what. Oh, there we go. It worked. So this is what it looks like. It's a Slack community. It's really quite active. You can ask questions about like, oh, like, you know, this doesn't work, like, and someone will come back and help you. So it's very, very active there. There's also like jobs, but they do have like they actually recently added like a job hub. I think they call it career hub as well, but they do have like job postings as well that people list, where they hire directly from people from Datacamp, which I think is quite nice. I don't think it's like as active though. Like I don't know like how many people actually manage to get jobs from this. But it's nice that it's there. So yeah, you can ask questions and people will get back to you. Cool. And then in terms of like careers and prospects, I do want to like touch on that a bit. They have like a new career hub. I think this was actually like really recently added. They didn't used to have this, but they do now. It's quite interesting because, okay, first you have to like make sure you actually like know everything. So I didn't complete this because there is like, you actually have to like finish stuff first, I believe. And then, you know, you have to do a lot of these things. So I didn't finish it myself. But what you have to do is like do each of these assessments, and just to make sure that you know how to do stuff. They're making sure that you actually, you know, are at a point of entry level data scientist or data analyst or data engineer. And then afterwards, what they say is that you get interview ready with resume reviews and one-to-one sessions with our experts. So that sounds pretty good, right? So they actually give you one-to-one sessions, and then they'll review your resume for you and help you on the career track. So this is still in beta. I would love to like keep an eye out on what happens afterwards. Although like I want to say truthfully, like I wouldn't really rely on Datacamp to get me a job. I'm not going to be like, I'm going to do Datacamp and then I'm just going to get a job after that. Like I wouldn't rely on that myself. In fact, like in my opinion, Datacamp is more of like a starting point, like where you start to learn about data science, you start to learn about just kind of like all the aspects of data science and going, you know, just like sampling here and there, but it's not really like comprehensive in my opinion. And it doesn't really it claims that it gets you to the point of entry-level data scientist. In my opinion, I'm not so sure about that. I think you do need to do more things yourself. Like you got to do more projects yourself and build your portfolio up more for people to actually like look at you more seriously and want to hire you, as opposed to just doing it. So that's kind of my opinion on that. All right, going on to cost. So I have it open here. All right, so this is the find your plan, your personal plan page, and they have like your personal plan. You have free, you have standard, and you have premium, and they have the business ones. I'm assuming most of you guys are not interested in business ones. So the free one, it gives you Datacamp to try for free, but honestly, it doesn't like if you get it for free, you pretty much only get the first chapter of each course, so you don't really get to like learn anything. And I think you get to like see only the guided portion of one project, and that's really kind of, you know, where a lot of the theoretical stuff like that they teach you, and really all the things start coming together. So like that's really just it's really like a, what is it called, like a lead magnet, I guess, like to get you to go buy something, to go and buy something. So I personally bought the standard one, which is like $25, and then they also have one that's like $33 per month, which is the premium for learners who want to access to all projects. I wouldn't recommend it, just because the way that their projects are, even the guided ones feel like, unguided ones feels very, very guided, and they're not really like realistic. And if you put it on your resume as well, people are not gonna like, it's not particularly unique or interesting. So I would honestly just go with the standard one, and then after going through the projects and going through Datacamp, I would just go and do my own projects instead, like applying all the stuff that you learn and from the projects that you do have, you've done at Datacamp, which is applying that to other data sets, and things like that. That's kind of how I would go about it. Would not recommend the premium. All right, checking back on the live stream, see if we have any comments or questions. Maxwell, build annually. Yeah, it is, right? So I honestly, I'm probably gonna cancel. Personally, I'm probably gonna cancel like after this month, just because like for me, I don't really think there's a lot of stuff in there that would be beneficial to me. Like kind of looked at the courses and stuff, and I either know most of it or I'm not very interested in learning about stuff. Like, yeah, but it is yeah. I mean it's subscription based. If you do it for 10 months, you're looking at like $250, right? Which is, I don't think it's that bad. Like, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's not bad at all. But it is like, it is subscription based. Let's see. Sorry, I'm kind of just scrolling through because I feel like I missed off a little bit. Let's see, I'm kind of scrolling through to make sure that I'm getting people's questions. Duck meat. I found Datacamp had an issue of learning then forgetting. It feels like you learn a lot. However, it's easy to forget what you just learned because of its generous handholding. I agree with that. I can definitely see that happening with Datacamp. It's very much like it's like kind of fill in the blank stuff, and even the projects, because they're so guided, it's like, oh, like, you know, I know how to do these things. So it's really, really up to you to actually take what you learn and do stuff with it. Like you can't just claim that, oh, I have now become a true data scientist from doing Datacamp. I don't think they're there yet. Yeah. Sebi, thanks Tina for letting us know you're not a robot. Where are you? When did I say I'm a robot? Oh, when I was like clicking through stuff. Yeah, I'm probably a robot because I failed. It was I clicked the fire hydrants and I couldn't find the fire hydrants, so I guess I'm a robot. Damn it. Duck me, if you're using Datacamp, please do a lot of projects in your own time to help remember the things you've learned. Very much agreed. I'll emphasize that as well when I talk about what my tips are for using this resource. All right, let's see if we have any other questions and things. Let's see. Shahab, so you think we should go for Dataquest? We will see once we get to Dataquest. I'm being mysterious here. Sabi, why would they show per month if it's billed annually? Where's the logic? You know, it's a marketing thing, you know, like I don't think they're being deceptive by doing that. I think most places do that. It's kind of like a marketing thing, right? It's like if they tell you a huge number, then you're like, but if it's like, you know, oh, it's only $25 per month, you know, it's like, oh, like that feels more reasonable. Like it's not that it's not $25 a month, it is $25 per month. You're just billed annually for it. Yeah. Caracal, a lot of typos. I have it for data, guided slash unguided projects in the slides. The ML courses are decent. Yeah, I think the ML courses, they give you a pretty decent sampling of it. It doesn't really go too much in depth. And I agree with the previous comment of it not having like too much, like, how do I say it? Like it doesn't really show you the logic behind it. It's more like this is how you use it. And here are the things that you can do. Speaking of which, let us move on to pros and cons. All right. I like wrote down some stuff here as well, just to make sure I don't forget. So do bear with me here as I'm looking through my notes, which with my terrible handwriting that I can barely read. Okay, yeah. So okay, let's talk about the pros. I think it's nice that it's like gamified system. The platform is really nice. I'll show you guys the platform again, just so you can see. Like it's very like nice and streamlined. And it has like a very like modern feel to it, which I appreciate. And it's also instant feedback and no setup. I think this is the reason why these these self-paced like online platforms are really popular, and a good reason for that is because they give you instant feedback, right? And a lot of times like when you set up environments and stuff, it can be really stressful. Like I still think setting up environments and just getting all your like things set up properly and not get errors is probably one of the hardest parts of coding in general. So the fact that as a beginner, if you have to deal with that yourself and you run into errors, it's really easy to give up. But because it's not there, it's like already done for you. So I think that's quite nice as a beginner. Also very handheld. That could be a pro or a con depending on the kind of person that you are. If you're like more of a nervous person and you like that, then I think this is a great option. And another pro is that they do have projects, and I really appreciate that. Like the fact that they do have projects and then they try really hard to, like make the projects kind of realistic. Like the projects themselves are realistic. Like sometimes the stuff that they ask in their projects, I feel like they're not as realistic. But like, the questions they ask is pretty good, I would say. And just like the flow of it itself is pretty good, even though it feels a little bit generic, which is, I think it's kind of hard to make it not generic, to be honest. But the fact that they have projects, I think that already is like miles apart from a lot of other courses and a lot of other platforms that aren't necessarily project focused. Also, they do have like seminars, and they have that career tab that's available now, so you get the individualized career counseling. And at $25 a month, although billed annually, it is quite nice, I think. So I think you're getting pretty good. You're getting some pretty good stuff for that price point. So talk about the cons. All right. Also, let me guys know. You guys let me know what you guys think about what the pros and the cons are. And for those of you that have like tried it out, I know some of you guys have already mentioned it, but like kind of love to know like what everybody else's opinions are as well. So in terms of cons, so this is what I think Duck Meat was the one that mentioned it, or was it Soy Boomer Doomer Low IQ? Still love your username. But it was like not, there's in terms of the ML algorithms and just in general, the stats and math really wasn't that great. It's, if you don't already know stats and you're not just using it as a refresher, I think you don't really cover it as much. Like I would supplement that with something else. Also with the algorithms is very much like this is how you scikit-learn, this is how you import a model. It doesn't really go into too much detail about how things actually work from like a conceptual point of view, not even like mathematical. Like from a conceptual point of view, they don't really go into too much detail about that. Also, just in general, fill in the blank, I don't think is very realistic. It's somebody else, Duckmeat, I think mentioned like, you like learn a lot of things and you just forget about it, because it's just, when you're actually coding, you're not like filling in a blank at all. Like it has to all come from here, right? And they kind of cut that part out in their projects and in their assessments. Also, some other cons that I found, it's more like they don't really cover APIs or web scraping. Web scraping, I kind of get that. If you don't cover it, it's not that hard to pick it up yourself. But like the API part, I think that's really important. Because like a lot of data science, just like coding in general, it's gonna involve you using a lot of APIs, and they don't really cover that. They do cover like a little bit in terms of integrated inside, but they don't really have a section dedicated to it. And I think they really should. Like, it's such a big part of what you do as a data scientist that I think they really should have like actually an entire course dedicated to APIs, in my opinion. What else? Oh yeah, and another point I had is that this is kind of like a minor nit of mine, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. It's like they have different lectures for each of the courses, and some of them are good, some of them not so good, I would say. Like they're not bad, but they're just like not as good, and the flow of it doesn't flow as well because it just doesn't like this teaching style and these things, like they don't really like mesh together very well sometimes. And because there is like that video emphasis to it, I definitely noticed that when I was going through the different courses. Let me know in the comments what you guys think as well. Ooh, good night, Rajat. Thanks for joining in. I know it's like freaking 4 a.m. Really appreciate it. Maybe you can check back in in the morning as well and see if there's anything else. I mean, there will be more stuff, but check back in the morning. See any pros and cons that you guys have. So pros, wide range of things to learn. You can learn a wide range of topics really fast from DuckMean. Agreed, definitely agreed. See, so if I'm missing your comments and stuff, I do apologize because there's just like a lot of comments I'm trying to scroll through. Let's see. What am I repeating? Let's see. All right. Guy Namad, Joe FTW, fill in the blank would be better in an exam for an intro to CS course at a university. I feel like just fill in the blank in general is just not very, I just don't really like that very much. I just don't think it's realistic at all. Luke Burrows, I like a diverse selection in courses and niche topics from Datacamp. Agreed. So there are like specific topics, like they have a Tableau one, and there are ones are supposed to be really, really good as well. I kind of like looked into them a little bit, but I didn't go through them as thoroughly as this track, but definitely agreed on that. Herman, most online courses don't provide enough math knowledge when it comes to data science. Isn't that bad? I think it's because the thing is like there has to be a balance, right? Like there's the balance between like feeling like you're in that instant gratification is really nice, like you're coding stuff and you're really seeing results. That's really motivating as a beginner, but at the same time, like that math knowledge, like or at least like logical conceptual knowledge, it does need to come. So I think there has to be a balance between that. In this case, I feel like it's a little bit short and you'll have to go and do a lot of work yourself to kind of like pad that on. But I kind of like, yeah, I wish that there was a little bit more here, or at least like tell people here are the things that we covered and here are the things that we didn't cover as much, so you should delve deeper into it yourself. I think that would have been nice, and I think people would appreciate that. Lonely Ceramos, all course prices are the same online. Yeah, pretty much. It's a very competitive marketplace, and I gotta say, like all the things that we're covering today are very, like they're all very well done, right, for what they're trying to do. Tina Huang, can you be my mentor? I mean, I would love to. I just don't have that much time right now, I'm afraid. Although I'm working with chronic coder people, just to like, you know, to like, I'm like thinking about starting up a more official program for mentoring. All right, so shall we move on to, okay, so some concluding words. I'm also just keeping an eye on the clock here, so we're like around 38 minutes in. So I'm just gonna move on to who I think this is best suited for, and some tips if you do choose to use this resource. Okay, so what do I have written here? Okay, so people who I think this is really good for is it's good for people who really appreciate that hand holding. Like I said previously a few times already, like if you're more nervous and you're really starting from scratch, I think you would actually appreciate that hand holding and that gratification that comes from that instant feedback. And filling the blank, maybe not so great, but I appreciate the fact that they do help you like one step at a time. It's also good for people who are looking to upskill as opposed to like, you know, just become a data scientist from scratch, for example, because they have that skills track. Like, let me show you guys again what I mean by that. They do have that skills track that, you know, it covers R programming, there's Python, there's SQL, there's Shell, spreadsheets, Tableau, and theory as well. Like, there's a lot of specific, and there's finance fundamentals as well, that, you know, if you're looking to upskill, you're already a data analyst, for example, or a data scientist, and you're interested in like specific areas, I think it can be quite nice. Like, for example, if I only know Python and I want to learn about R, you know, I can just take a few of these so I can get started on them. Although, me personally, I think if you're going to learn a new additional language, I don't think you actually need this anymore, because learning one language is pretty easy to learn something else. But okay, like say like, I don't know, spreadsheets, then I can be like, oh, like I can just learn, you know, spreadsheets here. So it's nice for upskilling. So it's not necessarily just dedicated to career switchers. And find a learning style. If you like talking head videos, kind of thing. Like Datacamp is you're gonna like Datacamp a lot because that's kind of the style that they go by. And we look at Dataquest later, which is really quite similar, you would say, like, but if you actually experience it, they're actually really different. And a lot of it is because of the learning style. Some tips if you're going to choose this resource. So first off, like I really want to emphasize, I don't think you should see Datacamp as a comprehensive platform. I know it kind of tries to market itself as such, but I don't think it is. I think it does a great job in terms of introducing you to it and all the skills and just giving you a really great basis to work off, as well as like, career track and all these different things. But I think you still need to rely on yourself to actually take the things that you learn and apply them to projects. You can start off with Kaggle if you like. Even better if you start doing like more real life projects. I have some videos that are about that. You can check on my channel. But like you really need to start applying these skills and actually making your own projects, doing your own portfolio. That's gonna be how you go from just like that entry, just like starting off, to actually like being employable, really like being someone that companies would want to hire, and really like also cementing your knowledge that you learn from Datacamp. So that's like my first tip. My second tip is that if you're gonna go through Datacamp, don't be like, I must take notes on every single little thing, like, because I especially want to say this for Datacamp because it's so syntax focused. Like all the spreadsheets and stuff and all the courses are like very fill in the blank. So it kind of makes you feel like, oh, like I need to remember all the syntax. I need to remember, how to do all these things. And you might be like taking notes about it and try to remember them. And I think that's gives off a really wrong signal. Like in general, when you're coding, you're doing data science and just like technical things in general, like you're not really don't need to remember the syntax for anything, right? Like if I like literally don't remember the syntax for like really basic Python things, like for example, when I'm like trying to do a filter, I like literally forget how to do a filter every single time and I have to go look up the documentation for it. And that's kind of how it is. Like you're constantly going to be looking stuff up because the syntax doesn't matter. It's more about the knowledge and how to apply it that matters. So I highly encourage you to not like get so caught up in the details and the syntax of things. Yes. What else? That's about it. I think that would be like kind of my specific advice for Datacamp as a resource. All right, let's check back in the comments. We're gonna be moving on to Dataquest next. Let me know if you have any feedback as well. Do you think the way that I'm approaching this, like going on to Dataquest and then 365 data science, like do you think this is a good, am I covering all the things that you guys want to see? Do let me know now before I get started on Dataquest. Also, if you guys have any other like additional comments or questions on Datacamp, I think we can spare like maybe 3 or 4 like minutes or so to cover that before moving on. See. Lonely Seer, I think I would learn a lot if Tina starts some online course. I'm doing a SQL interview course. that's in the works right now. Wait, what is it that we want to know? Sorry, I'm like missing people here. Oh, and just by the way, I just wanted to let you guys know. So I do have I'm sorry, I forgot what it's called. Super chats and the custom emojis enabled. I got feedback last time when I was doing the data analyst course, like live stream, that people really wanted me to have that open so that yes, it does cost, like, you can send me like a few cents for something, but it's able to like, prioritize your questions. So people asked me to open that up last time. So I just wanted to let you guys know that is an option. But please, no pressure at all, I promise. All right, let's see. What is it that we want to know? Okay, so Manish, why data science course doesn't have data structures and algorithms, which is most asked interview? I think there's a misconception that people ask you a lot about data structures and algorithms. I don't think they, at least from my experience and the people that I know in the data science field, they don't really ask you that much about data structures and algorithms. Like you might be looking at some like lead code easy questions, if you're into the lead code world, but algorithms maybe a little bit, but I've never actually in a data science interview seen people ask you about data structures outside of just like simple arrays, like hash tables, like things like, or dictionaries if you're Pythonic. I really don't see that very much. And the reason is because in data science, like you don't really use those data structures that much. Like you might use it like in terms of like under the hood, where you know maybe you're iterating through something. But most of the time, like the stuff that you're using, like you're not directly using data structure, so they don't really ask you that much in interviews, from my experience at least. Let me know if somebody else disagrees. Okay, so far so good. So far so good. Okay, everybody seems quite pleased. All right. You could try using slides. Let me think about that. I feel like if I'm using slides, don't you think it's like better if I just showed you directly like all the stuff? Or you think like if I just like had a slide, that might be better? Let me know. Okay. Well, everybody seems to be happy with me right now. Very glad. All right, so answering a few more questions, like why data science? Oh no, I already answered that one. Okay. Pride, are you not expected to know the I think you mean syntax in a technical interview of data science? That's an excellent question. I want to answer that. So in data science interviews, yes, you do need to know the syntax, like in a way, because when you're actually like coding, you can't just be like, oh, like I don't know how to actually code. Let me just write stuff down in pseudocode. Like, yes, you do need to know the syntax, but it's so much more important. Like that syntax will come to you. You know what, if you actually practice doing projects and stuff, like, and you know how to do these things, like like you know the syntax behind it. Maybe you don't remember the exact, like, you know, how the arrangement of how like functions work and stuff. And even in interviews, if you forgot that, they're not going to be like, oh no, we're going to fail you because you forgot like which arguments exactly go into this function. You know, like they're not going to ask you stuff like that. So, and as a beginner, like that, if you focus so much on the syntax, you're gonna waste so much time just remembering the syntax as opposed to learning the actual stuff, right? Like actually like implementing things. So I really like say like syntax, don't focus on that. If you do have an interview, just brush up on the most common functions and just try to remember them before your interview. And that should be fine. Let's see. No slides. Okay then. I'm sorry. We got we got I guess we're going with no slides. Democracy here. Let's see. Tina, what's your opinion on Geomatex course? I don't know. I haven't looked at Geomatex course, I'm afraid. Oh, yeah, thanks everyone for answering McPhee's question. Yeah, don't want HR to come and get me. That's why I don't reveal it. Not because I don't want to tell you guys. All right. Shall we move on? If nobody else, I don't see people having any more like questions and specific things, so I think we should move on. Sounds good? All right. Okay. Let us move on to Dataquest. So I'm going to follow the same structure. Again, feel free to keep commenting, answering questions. I know a lot of you guys here have looked at these resources yourself, so please help each other out as well. All right, so quick, let me change my thing. Sorry, like, where is my okay, here. Okay, so I'm going to give just a brief overview of Dataquest as well, and then jump into the Dataquest platform. So Dataquest on the surface seems very, very similar to Datacamp. It's also a self-paced online platform, and it focuses on career tracks as well, in data science, data engineering, as well as data analyst. And it's quite similar as well to Datacamp in that it says that, oh, like if you go, you can start off with like absolutely nothing, and if you complete all of this, then you're gonna be able to be at the level of an entry-level data scientist or like data analyst or data engineer. That's kind of the claim that they have as well. So let me actually show you guys the platform now. Okay, let's see. So this is what Dataquest looks like here. I have it open to the career track, which is like data scientist in Python. And this is like this is the thing, like in the beginning when you sign up for Dataquest, they actually go like, oh, like what are you interested in? And like what are you interested in, data engineer or data analyst or data scientist? Are you interested in getting a job and whatnot? And then they kind of tailor it to path. So as opposed to Datacamp, that was more like, oh, like, you know, here's like kind of the path that you can choose, but there's also a bunch of these skills. Dataquest is very, very career focused. So I'm on the current path of data scientist in Python. And let me now just kind of, in terms of time dedication, I wrote this down as well. So it's gonna be slightly less time in terms of estimated amount of time compared to Datacamp. It's 68 hours or 240 hours to 68 6 to 8 months, and 240 hours to complete for a data science track. And for data analyst track, they estimate 160 hours, or like 4 to 6 months to complete. So I would say it's a little bit less than on the Datacamp side. So yeah, as I was saying, is very like career focused, and it doesn't really have any courses that are like specific to each skill set as opposed to Datacamp. Okay, let's just go through it quickly as an overview as well, just what it looks like and what it covers. So, okay, we are on the current path, and step 1, so this is Python for data science fundamentals, so it kind of goes through all the fundamentals for Python, and then you also go through the intermediate stuff. And then you have step 2, pandas and NumPy fundamentals, so this is NumPy, this is pandas. Also I'll note that after each of these courses, you get a guided project specific to that course. And the data visualization fundamentals, storytelling, I love this emphasis on storytelling. Like, I love the fact that they have this section because it's such an overlooked section when you're actually at the job. So I love that they have that. Data cleaning and analysis, data cleaning in Python Advanced, and then a project walkthrough. Love that as well. And step 3 is elements of the command line. So they actually, unlike Datacamp, they go through the command line. So here's the command line, text processing using it, which I think is quite nice that they introduced that to you. And then the SQL is embedded within it. So in Datacamp, they have SQL like courses as well. It's not embedded into like the career track, so you can always take that as well. But for Dataquest, the SQL is actually embedded within this data scientist in Python course. So they give you the SQL fundamentals and kind of go through like just like the fundamentals of what it is. They don't spend like too much time on it, I would say. They do like kind of intermediate SQL, but they don't spend like a significant amount of time on it. But I think it's really like enough. Yeah, I like kind of click through them, and I really do think that it's enough. And then this is what I really like about this as well. They have APIs and web scraping. So working with APIs, intermediate APIs, they have an actual challenge where you're working with the Reddit API and scraping. So that's really nice because a lot of your work is going to be using APIs. And then they have data analysis and business, so like different metrics and stuff. Again, emphasis on those soft skills. And then after that, we have probability and statistics. So go through statistics fundamentals over here, statistics intermediate, and probability fundamentals and conditional probability, hypothesis testing. I think in terms of stats, this is a good basis. I think there are like some things that they don't really cover here, and I kind of wish that they covered a few more things in more detail that would be useful. But to their credit, I think they covered everything that is kind of the very fundamentals of statistics here. You know, they have like probabilities, they have conditional probability based, and they also have projects as well. So really like that emphasis, because I think a lot of times on the statistics side of things, it's really difficult to make it as interactive. But I really like how they actually made the statistics come to life by showing you how it's being used in a project. So really appreciate that. And then for step 6, machine learning intro. So first we're gonna go with k nearest neighbors, and then it kind of, as you go on, it'll tell you about all the different like cross validations and how to actually tune the hyperparameters. It goes through some of the calculus, so they do like try to cover some of the math behind machine learning, not just like tell you exactly like, no, this is how you code it and stuff. So I appreciate that. Is it enough really for you to like understand what's happening? Probably not, I want to say, but I think it gets you to a point where at least you know what you don't know, so you can easily look up what you don't know and look into that yourself, if that made any sense. Linear regression for machine learning in Python, and you know, it starts like being, it's like predicting the stock markets. You have projects that are based upon these as well. And then finally with decision trees. And then step 7, which is deep learning. So Datacamp didn't cover deep learning, I think. But here they do have deep learning, so it kind of tells you like, oh, like here's a neural network, how does it work? And you have like some projects that are guided project walkthroughs. And they also introduce you to Kaggle, which is quite nice, because then you're like, after you do these projects, it also tells you like, here's so many more projects that you can do in Kaggle. So I think that's quite nice. And then finally, step 8, which is advanced topics. So it's best practices, context managers, introduction to decorators, as well as command line intermediate. So this is kind of interesting. I don't know how many people actually use the command line that much these days. I did when I was back in like 2017, 2016. But I think appreciate it. I do appreciate it. If you're doing like pipelines and stuff, then I think like working with the command line is it's something that will come up. Like I think it's something that you wouldn't think will come up like while you're just practicing, but at the job it will come up, if that makes sense. Yeah, and also introduced the introduction to Git and version control. So as data scientists, we're like notoriously we're like generally seen as notoriously bad at version control and just like writing decent code. So that's really changing a lot in industry. Like the standard of coding for data scientists is definitely increasing over time. So it's like introducing Git and all these different standards and stuff, like it's becoming mainstream now. So they do include that, as well as Map Spark and MapReduce. So you get the big data stuff as well. Definitely not comprehensive on big data, but I really like how they give you like a sample of that so you're aware of it and you can go look into that further if that's what you're interested in. All right, I'm gonna stop here and see if you guys have any comments so far. Let me switch back to my face. All right. Any comments, questions, concerns? Oh, I also wanted to like, well, I'll double click into like what it actually feels like after addressing any comments or concerns that you guys might have now, so we can actually see what it feels like. But I just want to like say first off, I think you can tell that it's very project focused. Like everything is based upon projects. It's all about implementation. So I think that actually makes the learning experience very different from Datacamp. All right. Let's see. What are we flexing about? What are we flexing about? Are we flexing about IIT? Okay. I actually can't find a comment. Is that what you're flexing about? Okay. Let's see. Clement, will you have another session on Udemy Data Science course 2021 complete data science bootcamp? That is the third thing that we're going to be covering today. After we finish Dataquest, so we did Datacamp, now we're doing Dataquest, and the last one I'll be covering is the 365 Data Science course 2021 complete data science bootcamp. So stay tuned. Let's see. Nikita, they say Dataquest is a more difficult version of Codecademy, which is good, I think. Yeah, once we like look at the projects and stuff, I think you'll start to notice like their style is it's more problem solving based. Let's just say that there's like less hand holding in it. All right, Pikaka, what do you think of part-time DS master's programs geared towards working professionals? I'm gonna try to focus my comments mostly on the three like kind of the courses that we're talking about now, but feel free to ask questions about other stuff like after I go through them, after I cover through the material. Mr. X, where is it possible to learn more about useful statistics? I think so. That's a good question. So I know some people prefer like looking at books and stuff. Me personally, not so much because I have a very short attention span. So I like video courses. I also have used Brilliant to prepare for my own interview just to brush up on statistics and learn. I've also used it to learn a little bit more about statistics over time. Again, not sponsored by Brilliant. I think I'm not even big enough or cool enough for them to sponsor me in any way. So this is all like, but I have actually used Brilliant. I did pay for it myself previously, and I think it's quite good at teaching if you're into that kind of learning style. Let's see. All right, cool. Let's go on, and I'll actually show you guys what it looks like then. Okay, so let's go here just to be able to compare. So programming in Python. Let's like go with conditional statements. Let's go with list and for loops. So it's like loading the mission. So you're on a quest. I thought that was nice. Okay, so it's not, unlike Datacamp, it's not very like video focused at all. In fact, it's not video focused at all. It's very text heavy. So it's like text and implementation and projects. So when you're learning through it, it's like towards the end of the previous mission, we work with this table. You're like, oh, this table over here. And it's like a real table that we actually found as opposed to one that we made up. And it tells you about it. And then it's like telling you the text Facebook is stored as a string, the price 0.0 is as a float, and then it tells you a bunch of stuff, and then this is how you learn. It tells you like to create a list above, we type this out and surrounded a sequence with brackets. Like this is what a list is. Like as an example from it's like a very data specific example, because normally when we have lists, they just go like, here's a list, like here's an array, but not from a data perspective. So in Dataquest, it's very much like, it's very, very data focused. Like this is a list in the context of data science. And then you have the instructions here, like store the second row Instagram as a list in a variable named row2. So I already did this previously just to like kind of check it out. So you like row2 is equal to this, row3 is equal to this. Like, oh, I made a list. And then you can be like run code. And then you can see like, oh, row3, row2, these are what the variables are. Like, okay. And then you can submit your answer and it's like, nice work. And then you go to next screen. So you get that instant feedback, which is really nice. And you know, now we're going on and we're like, and then it tells you about like a list contain both mixed and identical data types. And then what's the task over here? Yeah, so you see like they kind of go into a lot of detail, like explaining what a list is and how it all works, but in the context of doing, as opposed to just like telling you straight out. Let's see what a task is. So you can already see the list of the first 3 rows. The 4th element in each list describes the number of ratings an app has received. Retrieve this 4th element from each list and then find the average value to retrieve numbers. Cool. So now we're like learning about indexing, right? And then after indexing, I'm sure then we're going to learn about how to actually like iterate through it. So I think I'm not going to work through it so much now because I think you guys like get an idea of what it feels like already. So all of it is pretty much presented in this fashion. It's very like, here's some text and it explains things through and then you implement it directly. Let's go back to the dashboard. I also want to show you guys the projects. So let's look at this project. So this is called a guided project. They call it guided, but this is the guided project here is equivalent to the Datacamp's unguided project. That's what I would equate it as. And it tells you like, oh, like we learned about all these things. Now we're actually going to do something. Yay. So follow the instructions. So this is what it goes like, add a title, write a short introduction where you explain in no more than 2 paragraphs what the project is, what your goal is, and the title and introduction are tentative at this point. And then you like go on to next, and it kind of walks you through what it is that you're supposed to do and kind of teaches you functions along the way as well. So this is kind of more equivalent to what it would feel like. Oh shoot, did I? No, oh shoot, oh my god, I didn't show you guys any of my screen. Oh crap, I'm so sorry. Okay, I like didn't even look. Oh my god, okay, I'm sorry. Let me, that's a blooper there. I'm sorry. Okay, let me quickly, hopefully you like listen to what I'm saying. Oh my god, how long was I talking about? I was talking for like 10 minutes or something, right? Oh my god. Okay, let me show you guys what I was talking about now. Okay, you should be able to see my screen. You should be able to see my screen now. Okay. I'm very sorry about that. Let me like go back and actually show you guys like what it feels like again. It's really awkward. Okay, so list and for loops. Sorry. Okay, list and for loops. Okay, what I was trying to talk about earlier is that this is what it looks like. It walks through like everything over here. It's like this is Facebook, you know, it tells you you have this table and data set, and then it explains to you what things are in the context of data. And then this is how they introduce, like, here's store the second row as a list in a variable named row2. So that you go like row2 is equal to this list, and I already wrote this out here, but so you like write that out, and then you like, you know, you run your code, and it tells you like, oh, like this variable is Clash of Clans, you know, and you do that, and then you verify your answer by clicking submit answer, and it's like, nice work. And then you go on to the next screen, and it pretty much just goes through that. Like in this section, it then explains to you like, oh, like you can in arrays you can actually index them, or in lists, sorry, we're talking Python now, like in lists you can actually index each one, 0 1 2 3 4, and then it tells you like what it means to be indexed, and then you go on to try it out yourself, like indexing, accessing the 4th element from the list, and then also dividing the sum, and then moving on. They're gonna then teach you more about like loops, like how to actually loop through them, and looking at the positions through it. So that's kind of how it works. In terms of, sorry, I'm like getting distracted. I'm so sorry about what happened previously. Okay. Someone can make me into a meme at some point. Okay, so well, hopefully that made sense. Like, I hope that was like, now that I showed you guys, actually showed you guys what I'm talking about, I hope that made sense. So it's like everything is very, it's text-based, and it kind of explains things to you in a very data-specific context. Because normally when you do lists, they would just tell you that this is a list. They wouldn't actually like tell you that, oh, like, you know, you can have a list and you can actually put data in the list in a specific way. So I really appreciate that. It's very from a data specific fashion. And then also you like get that instant gratification of like being able to solve the question yourself and doing that. So yes, that is that is what it looks like in terms of like each of these classes, and everything is presented in a similar fashion. So it's all like a combination of text and implementation directly. So I was trying to show you guys the guided project that they had over here. So the guided project, I'm like paranoid now, just making sure you guys can see what I'm talking about. So okay, you guys can see. So in terms of the guided project, so I was saying earlier, the guided project here is very similar to Datacamp's unguided project. It doesn't tell you, you don't like fill in the blanks at all here. They do tell you what it is that you're supposed to do. So it is guided in that sense. You're supposed to like add a title. You're supposed to like write a short introduction where you explain in no more than 2 paragraphs, like what the project is, what the goal is in this project, like blah, 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 like that. And then if you move forward, they then tell you like, oh, like you can, there's, you know, this is why this, they explain like why it is that you're doing certain things as well. So they're like, this is a data set, and then now we need to explore the data, right? So how do we explore the data? We're going to create a function called explore data, and then they kind of tell you what the function is, and you can like copy paste that into it, and then you're going to be like changing that over time. Yeah, so you're going to be like actually writing the function yourself. It's still very, very guided. Like it tells you each step that you're supposed to be doing, which I think as a beginner is appreciated because you can get stuck pretty easily, I think, as a beginner. So it is very still guided, but it's not fill in the blank. So in my opinion, if you're doing it this way, it's not exactly going to be like if you're doing a project from scratch by yourself, but it's a lot more similar because you're actually going through the logic and implementing it yourself here. Any comments or questions? Is there anything I can clarify since I messed up and didn't actually share my screen for so long? Lloyd, it's 1 a.m. Oh, it's okay. Bye. Maybe catch up in the morning. Yeah, next time I'll try to be better on the time. I'll like send out a poll next time instead. Jam on ham. I love your username. You guys have great usernames. Do you know R? Yes, I know R. R is actually the first language that I started off with. So I didn't start off with Python. Actually, that's not true. I did start off with Python, but not in the context of data science. In data science, I started off with R. Chris Schultz, I think it's quite mobile friendly as well. Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know that at all. I haven't tried looking at it through mobile myself. That's quite nice. Dataquest or Clash of Clans? Is it similar to Clash of Clans? I'm like I don't really play games that much. There's like a very specific games that I'm into that are probably not super cool. But I don't know what Clash of Clans. Max 1, what's the free lifetime access about? Oh yeah, I'll tell you guys. So remember, you see the referral code that I have down there? Apparently, like if you use my referral code and there's 4 of them, then I get free lifetime access. That's it. They don't give me like, so the other referral codes like Datacamp, they give me, if you go through it, you get $20 off, and I think I get $9 back for it. But for Dataquest, they don't give you money for it. It's more like you get $15 off, and I get lifetime access for like 4 people. Yeah, that's what it is. Yes, so after I go live, it will stay on still. So do not worry. I'll also do what I did last time for the data analyst, the Google Data Analyst. Can't talk to me. Google Data Analyst certificate. I'll like condense it, remove my blooper in which I didn't show my screen, and I'll post the condensed version as well. Probably like not immediately, like a few days after. But this live stream itself will also stay on. It will not be removed. Polens, 3 a.m. here and staying up to attend the live. All right, I'm gonna move forward then. I don't want to prevent you from sleeping more. All right. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions or comments, let us move on. So what else do I want to talk about? So I showed you guys the platform. I also showed you guys like the project centric, some of the projects which are all in that style. Yeah, like learning style, as I already touched on that as well. So it's a combination of text and project-based learning, very, very project focused. There's also more projects than in Datacamp, I believe. So next up, let us talk about, let's see, support system. Yes, because support system is very important. Once you start coding and doing these things, you're going to start running into errors, and if you don't know how to solve your problems and you give up. That is very sad. Okay, so support system, they used to have a Slack. Ooh, I have it open here. Good thinking, previous Tina. No, I lied. I don't actually have it. Let me go to the dashboard. Support system support. Oh yeah, they have a community tab. I think it is that actually. I did have it open. Oh no, I didn't. Just kidding. Okay, support system. So they used to have a Slack channel similar to Datacamp, but they closed that. I think back in 2019. I think. So now they have this entire like community tab kind of thing in which you can ask questions. Very, very responsive. I did check them out. So Q&A, you can post technical questions and get solutions really quickly. So they monitor this very well. And they also have like, so you can ask questions on here. You can also share projects, and it's also kind of serves as like a way for you to write about, it's kind of like Medium articles, like similar to that, like write about the stuff that you're doing in a data science community. So it's kind of like a close-knit community, kind of, where you get to communicate with each other and just ask questions. Also, they do have like a career board as well. I guess I think I am a premium subscriber. I don't know, maybe I'm not a premium subscriber. I think I actually am. But yeah, they do have a career service as well, but that's on the support side. So I might as well, let me talk about career services now. Yeah, so I do have this open here. So this is the career service that's available. Compared to Datacamp, Dataquest has a much more substantial career service. Like Datacamp, they just recently launched theirs. It's still in beta version, but for Dataquest, it's kind of like very baked in from the very beginning. And that's probably because Dataquest is very career focused. Like Dataquest is specifically for people who are trying to become a data scientist or a data engineer or a data analyst of some sort. So it's very like career focused, and they've always had like wikis and just like resumes and guides and stuff, and it just like they just keep on adding on to that. So they have like really comprehensive like wikis and things like that. And in addition to that, they also, you can like, they have a job board that people post in, and people supposedly get jobs directly to that as well. Although again, I just want to say, even though Dataquest is more like career focused and it's more project based, I still feel like, I don't think you can just be like, I'm gonna do like all the data quests and then I can get a job immediately after. I still think you kind of have to do a little bit more yourself. Like, probably still build out more portfolios and just do some more projects, like end-to-end projects, because the guided projects, they're a lot less guided, but they still like are guided. And you really need to be able to start doing things by yourself, right? Like take that step by yourself before you can start applying. But they do have a job board, and I think it will be helpful to you after you do Dataquest and you kind of build out your portfolio more and try more things out yourself. All right, comments. Ibrahim, good thinking, previous Tina. Sad violin sounds. I know, right? I thought I was smart. So it's Chris Schultz. I was first trying it off on my phone, Dataquest. I thought it worked quite well. Datacamp is also made to work well on mobile, but even on my iPad, the videos are often too small to see. Okay, that's nice. So if you're into like mobile, that's really good to know. I haven't personally checked them out on mobile yet myself. Let's see. On 75, I'm afraid I can't really answer that question. HR will come and get me for sure if I answer that question, I'm afraid. Let's see. All right, so if you don't have any questions, I'm gonna move on now. So we talked about career. Now next up, I'm gonna talk about pricing. So I did open this up, I believe. Yeah, so in terms of the pricing, they have a spring sale right now. I get save 50% off, or you can use my link and I get lifetime access. I would appreciate that. But I think you still get the 50% off if you use the link, but up to you. I'm okay either way. So a spring sale, you get 50% off. They have 2 tiers here. So Datacamp has 3 tiers. Here you have 2 tiers. The first one is free. Again, like so the free one here, it lets you get access to more than Datacamp does. Like you get to go and like try stuff out a little bit more, but you don't get access to the projects, which really is the key part. So that's behind closed gates. So if you're gonna use Dataquest, you're gonna have to pay for it. I think that's the whole point, right? If they released everything, then you wouldn't pay for it. Then how are they gonna make money? So yeah, like you get access to, you can try things out a little bit more, but you do not get access to projects. And also the community, like a large part of Dataquest is about the community. It's about like asking questions, answering questions, job boards, things like that. You don't get access to that. So I think if you're going to go for Dataquest, you're going to have to pay for it. So yeah, they have the premium version, and they just have one that's billed annually, and they have one that's billed monthly. Actually remember this. I actually paid for the one that was billed monthly because there was some like fine print saying if you get the one that's billed annually, you have to pay the annual fee. You can't cancel it. And I was like, that was a bit sneaky of you. So I paid like 49. I paid like $50, like $52 plus tax for it because again, like I think this is really good, but it kind of still fits in more like for the beginner entry level kind of thing. For me personally, I'm already a data scientist, so it's not like super helpful to me. So I don't want to pay more than $50 for it. So yeah, I'm gonna probably cancel that. All right, any comments on pricing? Any comments for pricing? No comments about pricing. Ravik Gupta, I'm confused for what to start with for a data analysis project. I mean, these platforms, they kind of guide you through it. They will tell you what to do for a data analysis project, like kind of how to approach it. There's also a lot of free resources available as well, so you can always check those out too. Jesus or Jesus. Tina has commitment issues. Didn't want to commit to the whole year. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, truthfully, you guys, it's because like I paid for it myself, even though I knew that I wouldn't be really using it, just because like the stuff that I'm working, like this is really designed for people who are pretty entry level, where they're trying to like change their career and stuff. And for me, it's like not, like it's not super useful for me. But I did it for you guys. Do you guys appreciate it? I did it for you guys. I paid for it, so I can give you guys a more thorough review. All right, Farhan, many thanks for using your own money to review these platforms. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Ibrahim, we owe Tina $50. Buy me some boba sometime. All right. Okay, so moving forward over here. Pricing, we talked about pricing over here. What else do I want to talk about? Okay, pros and cons. All right, let's go back to the actual page. I'm like too scared to put my actual face on now because I'm like worried that I'm gonna like not turn on my screen again. So bear with me, even though I'm talking, you're gonna see my screen here. So in terms of pros and cons, I really like that it's project centric. You know, that's just my jam. I just love it. It's very project centric. It's very realistic from the very beginning. So I think that you can just do Dataquest and then just be like, yay, I'm a full data scientist now. Again, no, I don't think you can, but it's much more realistic, better learning. And I think if you go through Dataquest, you would not feel like you forgot everything as much. You might still forget some things, but you would feel like you would have more to build off on. And the leap towards doing your own projects is going to be less. Like it wouldn't be as big of a leap. So I would say it's also a lot more, so I'm going to compare this to Datacamp just because like they're like kind of similar, at least in the way that they market themselves is quite similar. Compared to Datacamp, it's less bloaty. Like Datacamp was 10 months. This was like, what, how much did I, 6 to 8 months, I think it was. And the reason for that is like Datacamp has more bloat, like more information that's not exactly necessary for it. While for Dataquest, it's like straight up, like we're going to learn all the things that we need to do and then just go do projects on that. So I quite like that. Also great support system. They have like, the support system is like very built out and very fast response rate. Datacamp as well, very fast response rate. So that's just a pro for both of them. And for Dataquest, a lot of career resources and job board. So this one is a big emphasis on data. Am I showing you Datacamp now? I am. Damn it, Dataquest. Okay, yeah. So another thing about Dataquest is that they were focused on career from the very beginning. It's all about like changing your career and then like helping you find a job and all these different things afterwards. So it's like very built out. Like over time, it's just, there's a lot of wikis, there's a lot of guides, and there's a lot of people posting on the job boards and stuff. So it's very built out. I think if you're going with Dataquest, like definitely utilize that resource and it will be helpful to you moving forward. Even if you don't get a job just from the job post, just being able to like structure your resume and they will help you like figure out how to like get a job essentially, you know, and like tell you about some like tips that you can use and how to like present yourself in a way that people would want to interview you, which is usually the biggest barrier for people who don't have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or like some sort of official school documentation in something in computer science or data science, it's hard for you to get that interview because people are like, oh, you just like self-learn yourself. So employers are not sure that you actually know how to do things, right? Because there's no like guarantee kind of. So yeah, appreciate that. I also really like how they focused on storytelling and they used APIs. So that focus on APIs as well. Really, really love that because just a really big part of the job, you know, really big part. Web scraping as well, and SQL is baked in. Definitely don't skip the SQL part. I feel like SQL is one of those things where it's harder to do projects for. So the fact that they have a SQL portion and you can do projects on SQL is a big plus in my mind. Also, I like how they went more in depth with the ML. Like, do I think it's everything? No, I don't think so. I don't think you can just be like, I know ML now from doing Dataquest, but it does give you a really good, it gives you more of a basis and it gives you a really good sampling of like different ML algos, goes into deep learning a little bit more as well. So it kind of tells you what you can focus on in the future. So I appreciate that. Some cons, okay? So this is less hand-holdy. It's more problem solving based. So as I was going through some of the lectures and stuff, I don't even call them lectures. So some of the like assignments, I guess I would say, like I obviously like, know Python, I obviously know SQL, I know these things already. But I was working on it, like it's like, you know, I was like forgot the syntax maybe or something and I had to like go look it up. And I think there is like just more of a problem solving aspect to it. So if you like that aspect and you're okay with like solving problems by yourself and not just having the answer like directly available to you, I think Dataquest is really like Dataquest would be good for you. But if you're like more of a nervous person, you haven't really coded at all before, and you're not very like comfortable problem solving, then it could be a little bit discouraging, in my opinion. But they do have a very good support system, so you can always just go and ask questions about that. Also, another con is that it's very career focused. Like it's like if you're doing this and you're on a data scientist in Python track, it's like you're trying to become a data scientist in Python. It doesn't have a selection of skills, and it's just the breadth of it is just not very large. What they do cover is great, and they cover the things that are very useful in the job, but they don't really cover like some extra information that Datacamp, for example, covers. What else? What else? Another con is that it's like it's similar. Another con is that it's not super in depth. So with Dataquest, they kind of do a good job in sampling, as I said before, but they don't really go very much in depth for most of the things that they cover. They kind of gloss over like stats, for example, that might be quite useful to you. Yeah, so you will definitely have to play around with it and go deeper yourself. So there's like a concept that you don't exactly understand because they didn't really explain it that much. You're gonna have to go and Google it and try to learn it yourself. All right, let me know as well, you guys. What are your pros and cons that you think about Dataquest? While you do that, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. All right, pros and cons. No pros and cons. Okay. Daniel, what program teaches more about SQL and database design? That's a good question. I want to say Datacamp does a little bit more because they have more focus on like specific topics. With that being said, I haven't looked into the data engineering track as much, so definitely don't take my word on that. do check it out yourself, because I've been focusing more on the data science and data analyst purchase. That would be my guess though. Let's see. Simi, you're an industrial engineering senior student in Istanbul/Turkey. I will focus data science and operational research at master's. What are you thinking about industrial engineering and data science? Honestly, I don't think I can really help you that much on that. I don't know much about industrial engineering, but generally most things translate pretty well to data science, just because data science, like data is literally everywhere, right? All right. Faraz, how much time to get 5 lakh per month salary as a data scientist? Can someone tell me what lakh is? Is it? I've seen that word before, but I'm not familiar with it. Is it like 100,000? Is that what a lakh is? Max, you prefer Dataquest because I won't forget as easily. Yeah. Polence, I personally prefer Dataquest as I'm more of a text-based learner type of person. Makes sense. Yeah, it is like a more text-based as opposed to video-based approach. All right. I will go and talk about, just kind of finish up on Dataquest here, and then we can move on to our final one. So I think in terms of who it's best suited for, I think it's best suited for career changers, as opposed to like people who want to brush up on like specific skill set. And let's see, it's also more compatible with people who are okay with problem solving a little bit more. Like if you run into issues, because like for Dataquest, there might be some problems that you have and you can't figure it out yourself. You have to be more comfortable with like solving the problem yourself, or like asking people on the community and things like that. Beep beep, you're interrupting me. Beep beep, interrupting. Here, go beep over here. Okay. Let's see. Yes. So that would be like who I think it's better for. And of course, if you're like if you like the text-based approach a little bit better, then you're gonna like Dataquest more, and it's like more implementation focused. What do you guys think? Some of you guys already told me that you like Dataquest, but like so far, what do you think? Dataquest or Datacamp? I will not say anything until the very end. Okay, so I also wrote down some of the tips that I have if you're going to choose using this resource. The first one is like, because it's more problem solving based, you have to be more patient with yourself. Like if you're coming from a background that's very like memorization heavy, like for example, pharmacology, like me, you might be like, oh man, I can't figure this out. God damn it, I give up. You have to be more patient and realize that data science itself is going to be very problem solving based. So that's not like it's not something that you can just, what is it called? Like you can't expect to just know everything like straight up from it. I just changed my face back, but I'm gonna remember this time to actually change it. So what else? In terms of, yeah, so you have to be more patient. And some other tips is that you really should apply your skills to building portfolio. The projects that are being presented are quite nice, and you know there's a lot of different variations, and they really help you figure out like, you know, all these different concepts, and you actually problem solve through them. But in the end, they are still guided projects. So you need to be able to take these skills that you learn and apply them to different data sets. I also teach you about APIs and web scraping, right? Go do that yourself as well and do an end-to-end project. So it's really important to like take all these different skill sets and actually apply them to things without guidance, because that's what it's gonna be like on the job. And also build out that portfolio. So whenever you're making a project like this, build out a front end to it, just because it's just nice. Like if you have a visualization or something like that, plug it into Streamlit, something like that, have a dashboard where people can actually see it, and that makes the portfolio visually more appealing and more understandable to people. And as part of a portfolio, when recruiters are looking at your portfolio, they'd be like, oh, like look at all these projects, we can easily see the things that you're doing. And it just makes it look more professional. Another tip I have is that, yes, so this is like a kind of a general tip. Make effort while you're doing the career stuff. Okay, that made no sense. Make some effort while you're working through Dataquest to start looking at different jobs and stuff, because it's similar to other platforms that are like it. It's very difficult for you to just be like, I did Dataquest. Now I can go and become a data scientist. Like, yes, you know, that's kind of what they say that will happen. Maybe that does happen to some people, but truthfully, it probably doesn't happen to most people. And even if you do just get a job directly, you still would be kind of missing a crucial step of being able to understand things, like being able to solve problems by yourself and trying to like a self-directed project. So, what am I trying to get to? I'm sorry. Yeah, so okay, make an effort like while you're like going through Dataquest, like look at career stuff, right? Look at like the different jobs that are there, and don't wait until you finish everything to start looking for a job. Try to do that earlier on. It kind of feels scary because you're like, I don't even know what these words mean, but it's really important for you to like kind of prime yourself for the things that you need to know, and that will help direct your while you're learning. It will help direct you just like almost like subconsciously to focus on specific aspects that will be more helpful to you when you're trying to get that job. All right. Well, that is all I have for Dataquest. Any comments? Let me switch back to my screen so that I don't forget. Okay. Dataquest for you, King of Zamuda, Nelson G, Dataquest. Sabi Dataquest seems to be better, but subjective in the end. Completely agreed. So I'm trying to present my. That's why I'm like, I'm not like this is better than the other. Like I try to like. I hope I'm doing an okay job. I'm trying to present to you like just more like factual information. Factual information were like things that I noticed that I think are good for learning. And I try to also like explain why one thing could be good, could be better than another, as opposed to being like you should always choose this one. Because I also don't think like one is really better than the other, because even though they're quite similar, they are serving different populations, right? For data quest specifically, they're very career focused, so it's not like career track. But for Datacamp, you can also be like a working data scientist or working data analyst who wants to, you know, just elevate their skill set a little bit more. I especially can see if you're a data analyst and you really want to become you know, more proficient in coding, for example, in ML, for example, then it would make a lot of sense for you to go to Datacamp and just do those courses as opposed to go to Dataquest and just have to like go through everything, you know? Let's see. Spiral, hey, how's it going? I remember your username. It's such a unique username. So hey, it's Mola. Hello. Tharuja, Datacamp is mostly video based, whereas Dataquest seems to be a lot subjective, but the latter has more topics to dive into. That's just my take on it. Okay, that's fair. Max, do more portfolio videos. I actually do have something in store. Oh, it's more like I'm gonna be building my website soon. So watch out for that. Which is kind of similar, I think. So Heed, why are you doing live at this night? It's very difficult to watch. Is it because of the time? It's like not night for me. Yes, that's why. I'm afraid. But do feel free to drop and just catch up in the morning. I won't be offended. On 75, I just had a look on Reddit and someone wrote this. I just had a look. Wait, user claims he's a data scientist that makes 250K per year for just writing a few SQL scripts a day. Is this false? Tina, what is your thoughts? Oh, I'm not sure about that. I'll have to have more context. Because just writing a few SQL scripts can mean a lot of things, right? There might be a lot that actually goes into it, and just the implementation is a few SQL scripts. All right, moving on. We have no more comments about Dataquest. Shall we move on to our final one? 365 data science. So let me show you guys 365 data science. Okay, so I want to make a note here. This is the 365 data science platform, right? And you know, they have like course libraries and modules and a bunch of different courses, as well as a bunch of different tracks. However, what you guys asked me to review was not the 365 data science actual like platform itself, which is, you know, it has all the courses that are available to it and is completely separate. What you wanted to review was the Udemy course, which is this one. What is it called? Here it is. It's the Data Science Course 2021 Complete Data Science Bootcamp. So this is like one of the courses, I believe. I don't know if it's like different on the 365 data science platform itself, but this is like the specific course that's the bootcamp. So I'm going to be reviewing this as opposed to the platform. Just wanted to make a note of that starting off. All right. So 365 data science. Let's just see some of the notes that I do have. Okay. All right. So they have like a nice description over here. So I'll be like referencing some of that material as well. Just being paranoid, double checking that you guys can see my screen. Yes, you can see my screen. Good. Okay. So 365 data science, this bootcamp is 28.5 hours long, and it's comprised mostly of video lectures, although it does have articles and it has a lot of downloadable material, because you're not supposed to just like watch the lectures yourself and just be like, oh, I'm absorbing information. Actually, what you're supposed to do is download all the material and follow along. So there'll be like implementing things that you're supposed to implement along with them, and like play around with it yourself. So it can be deceptive. It's like 28.5 hours of videos. It's like, oh, like I can finish this super quick. They don't have like a estimated amount of timeline for how long it will take to complete this. I would say, honestly, it would probably take you like at least 6 months, I want to say. Like if you're gonna, here's the thing, okay, if you really want to just cover everything, then you can probably breeze through it. But to actually go through it, implement it yourself. Also, my recommended approach is to not just implement things that the video is talking about, but actually like do projects related to those concepts and just like expand upon the projects that they present yourself. I think it's going to take you like quite a few months to get that done. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Where anybody that's taking a Udemy course, let me know what you think. But yeah, that's kind of like my estimate. I couldn't like find any references for this. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about why I actually think it will take you that substantial amount of time. It is because this course, like this course, it is called the Complete Data Science Bootcamp, and they mean that. They really mean that. It really is the Complete Data Science Bootcamp. It's like, like what we talked about previously. It's like, oh, like we're skimping on some things. We're like, not really going in depth about some other things in terms of like breadth or depth. But I gotta say, like, we got it covered here in this bootcamp. Let me show you guys what I mean. So in there, just briefly in your descriptions, you can see really clearly understanding. So they give like a lot of background about like what data science is, like how it works, like career stuff as well, and then dive into mathematics, statistics, Python, applying advanced statistical techniques in Python, data visualization, machine learning, and deep learning. And they're not just glossing through it. Let me see. There's like, if you actually scroll through it, right here, they have 62 sections, well 63 including the bonus lecture. So it's really, really substantial over here. And let me just kind of click through them a little bit as an overview first, and then we'll dive deeper into the videos, and I'll show you what the learning style feels like as well. So yeah, like, so in the beginning they have a lot of like, what is data science, why is it important, why is it popular, and what does it actually mean, which is, if you already know what it means, I feel like you can definitely skip this part. If you're just very like intro and you have no idea what this is, then definitely go through it. It talks about like what machine learning is as well, and some of the career stuff, and then they go on to probability, and they really cover probability quite well. So they cover all these different things, and then combinatorics, they covered underlying math behind it, Bayes inference, like that's substantial as well over here, probability distributions, and then after covering that, they go into like statistics as well. It's like, descriptive statistics, and this is like a course in itself. Like if you're taking like a university course, each of these sections are essentially a course. Sorry, not sections. What is it called? Each of these like parts. Yeah, I'll call it parts. Each of these parts is like an entire course essentially. So yeah, they go through all of this, descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, confidence intervals, and it's like not brushed through at all. We're like literally learning it very specifically. This is t-distribution, how to actually use it, what's a t-test in reality, what does it mean for confidence intervals to overlap, what does it not mean for it to overlap, Cohen's d, like all those different things, they cover that, hypothesis testing. And then for like Python, is again, it's like each part is its own course, seriously, very in-depth, like kind of going from ground up. And again, like when we were going through them, they have these resources on the side. So I would actually recommend you download all the resources in the beginning as opposed to download each one of them, because it's actually quite hands-on. Like it's not really just you sitting there watching videos, like it's quite hands-on. In the math section, it's like, I actually want to say in the math section, it's like relatively hands-on as well. Yeah, I think that's fair, because it's not fair to be like, it's not as hands-on as like the Python section. Well, yes, because that makes sense, right? But it is still quite hands-on in doing that, especially in the programming part. It's like you're gonna be following along and doing all these things, and it goes all the way up in terms of like Python tools, all the way to modules and explaining to you like what modules are, and it does a very good like basis, right? It's not just like here's NumPy, here's pandas, and let's just do NumPy and pandas. It's explaining like here's a module, like this is what it works, how do you import it, like what does it mean? Here's some other modules that you might want to look at. Yeah, and then more statistics, like actually implementation of statistics within Python. Very, very thorough. I really must say myself. Like holy crap, this is like thorough, right? Multicollinearity, like none of the platforms that we talked about earlier cover this at all. And it's like we were really implementing all the things that you've learned, right? So really appreciate that. And then for the ML stuff, like k-means clustering, things like that, they also really like show you the math behind it as well. Like it's not just telling you how to use stuff. It really goes very, very in depth, like how it works exactly. And then you obviously like go and actually use it, and it tells you what the pros and cons are, what it can or cannot do in terms of implementation. And we have a whole section dedicated to linear algebra. What's a matrix, linear algebra, geometry, and it goes on to like what's a tensor, what's that relationship with linear algebra. So it covers the math very, very deeply before we dive on into deep learning, which makes sense. Also, an entire section dedicated to deep learning. I want to say like the platforms that we talked about earlier. So Datacamp didn't cover deep learning, and Dataquest kind of like, they did cover deep learning, but it wasn't like very thorough. It's more like this is how you use it, and it kind of it does explain what it is, but like not at this level, definitely not at this level. All of that dedicated to it, and then you do implementation of that using TensorFlow, which is very, very nice. Like they actually go through, show you how to implement all these different things and explain to you how each of these sections work as well. Absolutely in depth. Like that's it. I was actually really very surprised by how in depth all of this was. And then one more notable thing before moving on. So like I'm kind of just like covering through them really quickly. But I do want to make note of one thing. They do have a case study. What is case study? Sorry. They do have a case study in which it's kind of similar to a project, but it's much more of a comprehensive, open-ended project. So it's not like here's a scoped down project for you to work on. This is like literally from zero to actual presentation. Like this is very real life, and similar to what you would actually do if you are studying the project, which is called absenteeism at the workplace. So they go through like, this is the plan, like actually how to plan your projects out, which is very important, because if you don't plan your projects, you're gonna have a bad time. I learned that from experience, but they tell you that, so you don't have to do it like that. And then it's like, here's how to approach it, and then pre-processing, you go through it. So they demonstrate how to like go through each of these in EDA. I'm not going to go into like too much detail about this, but like you can also like look at it on the like course website itself. But it really just goes from zero all the way up, like selecting how to use ML models for it, and then in the end they also like showing you predicted outputs. And then also in terms of like Tableau, they will show you how to present that information and the visualizations as well. So the case study, yes, it's like one case study. It's not like a bunch of different ones, but it's very, very thorough. It goes like, and it's very realistic. I would just call it that, realistic, very realistic. Yep, and then they also give you additional tools as well. So there's just like so much information. That's what all I can say. Like there's just, when they say complete data science bootcamp, really, really mean complete data science bootcamp. All right, so checking back on the comments. Any comments? Polens, all the instructions in Data Science 365 come from a good academic background. I haven't looked into these instructors specifically, but I would not be surprised by just the quality of the work that's being done. Like if you don't know what you're talking about, it would be very hard to be in such depth that you're talking about. Any comments, questions? No comment, no question? Okay, cool. No comments, no questions. That is fine. Oh, link is too big for the chat. Oh, for this chat. Maybe you can put it in Discord. Okay, cool. All right, so if there's no like questions or concerns, let's dive deeper into, I'll show you guys what it actually looks like. So in terms of like the learning style, it's a very like video focused, so, and very animation driven. Like I'm just thinking about how much effort there must have been. This is what happens when you like do YouTube. You're like, wow, there must have been so much effort in terms of editing, but it's like very pretty. Like the animation style, very well visualized. Here, let me show you like for compliments, for example, since I have it here already. Yeah, you guys can see, right? I can't get the audio to play because then I just can't figure it out pretty much. But this is kind of, they talk through it. It's like very clearly animated and very clearly like spoken as well. It's like, this is a coin toss, this is how it works. So all of it is like in this style. We can check out like one of the Python ones as well. That might give you a good idea of what like demonstrations look like. What the demos look like. Okay. Why don't we look at numbers and Boolean values in Python? So yeah, here's Python, and it's like, see how it's like literally animated with boxes? It's not just like the instructor just saying stuff. Like they actually animate each step, which I think is very nice. It's like so clear cut, whatever it is, as they go in through these demos. Yeah, hopefully that gives you a good idea of kind of what the lectures look like. Let me know if you want to see like a few more samples later on. But yeah, that's kind of the style. So it's very video heavy, very polished kind of style. And I do want to make a note that in itself, it's not project based. It's not like, you don't really do like a lot of problem solving. I mean, you can do it, but you don't have to do it, right? Because you're following along and and you're like manipulating all the variables. You're like doing all these projects that the instructor is showing you by yourself. You should be doing that, but you could technically like not do that. So you kind of need to have discipline there, but you can like technically not do that, right? So it is like a lot of video watching. And it's going to depend a lot more on your own discipline to actually work through it and not just like watch the videos and just assume that you know how to do it, which is a great trap. Watching the videos and thinking that you know how to do it, that is a very big trap that a lot of beginners do face. And yeah, so the actual like case study itself is like an extended project essentially. So there is that project, and if you're going to use this, like highly recommend for you to actually follow through on each of the steps and just play around with them more. I'll go into more details about my kind of tips for how to use the resource, but yeah, that's kind of, I hope that gives you a good idea of what the learning style feels like. Let's see, that's pretty much. Comments, questions? I'm watching the chat right now. Okay, I'm gonna move on, and then we can discuss things a little bit longer. Oh, Moon, you have a question. How long is the statistics portion? It is significant. I feel like if I move this over, oops, if I move this, it's very significant. Like I want to say at least a third of the class, I want to say, is stats, maybe like a fourth, something like that. It's like very significant. Like it covers the basis of statistics, and it also covers like applied statistics, and then it also covers like machine learning stuff. And it's not stats, but like the math behind machine learning as well. So yeah, it is very significant. All right, so let's talk about support. So I think support, it's because it's a course, right? So it's not like there's like some forum dedicated to it. It's on Udemy. It's like the same as Udemy's other support channels. I'm just opening that up right now for you. It's the Q&A, so you can just like you can ask questions and stuff. And it's because like a lot of people have taken this course. It's a really, really popular course for very good reason, in my opinion. So most of the questions that you're going to ask is probably already there. And the people, I did notice that they are very fast to get back to you as well. So if you have any like specific questions about each of these courses, people do get back to you very, very quickly. So I think the support system is very solid. So I would usually evaluate in career prospects, but I don't think this is fair because this is like a course, right? It's not supposed to, like, they do kind of cover resumes and stuff and what kind of careers that you can expect, but there isn't really like direct career support because it's not meant to do that. Let's talk about cost. Let me see. I thought I opened up the cost, but past Tina was not intelligent enough, or like did not have enough foresight to remember the cost. I'm just gonna tell you. If you want, you don't have to see it. Just will you believe me if I tell you what the cost is, even if I don't show it to you? So it's like if you're just buying it directly, it's like $99.99, but it's Udemy. We all know Udemy. It's like you just wait for a huge ass sale. And like right now there's a sale and it's $14.99. So it's so cheap, and you get lifetime access to everything, all the resources, all the articles. Like this is just such great bang for your buck here. And like this is insane, right? And it's not subscription based, so you don't have to pay for it monthly or anything. Buy it one time and it's yours forever. Incredible. All right, let's talk about pros and cons. Well, let's see if there's any questions first. Paulette's the guy who teaches the Python course in Oxford PhD. I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all, looking at the quality of it. Daniel, wow, that's impressive. Yes, I am very, very impressed by this. Just like the breadth and depth of the things that are offered. Like the lectures, people just clearly know what they're talking about. Like these are experts in their field. Let's see. It's a hush. I feel like there is no defined data science roles in most of the companies. It's still a premature field. I'm not gonna comment on this because I kind of just want to focus and get through with this part first. So let's just feel free to comment afterwards. Okay, we can talk about this stuff afterwards. So pros and cons. Okay, so in terms of pros, I just think it has amazing breadth and depth. It's just really pretty incredible by how much material it is and the quality of education. Also just the animation style and things are clearly labeled. There's a lot of effort and love that's being put into lectures to actually perfect them over time. Like this is not someone who's doing a rush job or anything like that. Like not saying like, you know, Datacamp and Dataquest, they were doing a rush job or anything. They definitely weren't either. But this is just very, very well productionized. And the information that's being covered, it's taught by people who really know what they're talking about. You know, what else do I have as a pro? Yeah, so I can't read my own handwriting right now. Yeah, so kind of related to that, it does cover deep learning and it covers the math behind both deep learning and the statistics and for machine learning as well. So you're really learning stuff from the ground up as opposed to just like learning how to use it first. So I think that's a pretty great pro. And as I was saying earlier, great bang for your buck. Like at least for me, it was on sale for $14.99. Like holy crap! Even if it was $99.99. Like this is like such great bang for your buck here, and it's not even a subscription based. So I don't think anyone can complain about the price here. Okay, and then another comment that I had as a pro is that it's very hands-on. And it's very applied, like, even though it is video lectures, but because you're supposed to be following along, it might be deceptive into you thinking you're just going to sit there and watch videos, but it's not supposed to be. You're supposed to be following along a lot while you're actually going through it. So it's very, very hands-on, and the case study is like very in-depth and very, very realistic. So if you go through that case study and you follow along, if you can come across like another project that you want to do, that leap between doing your own project is going to be less because you already did something that's quite comprehensive, you know. With that being said though, because it's not project focused necessarily, let's moving on to the cons, because it's not project focused necessarily, you don't really get as much like, how do I say, like you don't get to experience as many projects, whereas many like, you know, small little pieces to work on, and it also requires more discipline because you can totally just like not actually implement any of these things yourself and, you know, just think that you know stuff and just move on. And I really think like a lot of people probably have fallen into this trap in this particular course just because it's a really common trap to fall into. I actually just realized you guys probably can't even see the animation style because Udemy blocks the animations, don't they? Well, that's awkward. Well, maybe somebody commented, but I didn't even notice. Okay, I don't know if you can actually see it, but the animation style is absolutely brilliant. Anyways, moving on more to the cons. Yeah, so if you don't have the discipline to actually follow through with it, that could be an issue. And another thing that I want to talk about is that because it's actually covering so many of those fundamentals first, that can be difficult for some people. Like I said earlier, there's like this balance between like implementing stuff and keeping your interest and getting that gratification and then learning more deeply about it as opposed to just like learning all the fundamentals, you know, and then they're diving into that because it's going to take like sitting through a bunch of math lectures that are super theoretical, even though you're like applying it, but you're not applying it to like actual data science or data sets that you're interested in, that could be like not super motivating for some people, right? So I think if you are gonna go with this course, like be aware of that you would be sitting through like material and gives you a great basis of information, but you're going to have to be patient. You're going to be patient in the sense that you will get to use it at some point, but you don't get to use it immediately right now, like some of the platforms that we covered previously. Let's see. So another con that I do feel like it's a little bit bloated in the very beginning of the course. Like in the course itself, it's like in the beginning they cover a lot of sections. But let me show you what I mean. They cover a lot of sections that are like what's data science, like all these different information, like what the field is, what the careers are, and debunking myths and stuff. And that's like a significant part of the course. This is more of like a, if you know stuff about data science at all, you probably don't really need to go through that part very much. Like they can probably condense this to just a few lectures, honestly, like not necessarily go into so much detail about it. So I just think it's a little bit bloated, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. You can skip it if you don't want to. All right, so that's pretty much all I have for the cons. So I want to talk about who it's best suited for. Moving on next. Oh yeah, let me know in comments what you think the pros and the cons are as well. Very interested in seeing. So who do you think it's best suited for? So I think this is really good for people who love understanding things from a ground up perspective. Like you don't want to just like implement and get that instant gratification immediately. Like this is good for people like that. If you want to like understand things at a deeper level. I also think that this is good for people who are motivated enough to actually follow through and patient enough to like go through all the lectures and actually like implement everything yourself, as opposed to just watching the lectures by yourself. And let's see. Also, it's for people who, because it's not as problem solving focused, it's important for you to be comfortable playing around with it. So what I mean by that is, say you're implementing this project, right? And you're following along with it. You have to be comfortable saying like, hey, like what happens if I make this small change instead? Like, what if I did this instead? As opposed to just following exactly what it is that person's saying. So you have to be like kind of more exploratory in that mindset, because you don't necessarily have to be, and they don't encourage you to do that like very specifically. Like you don't have to do it, but it would be in your best interest to do that exploration so that your learning is not as directed by someone else, right? It's more like self-directed in that sense. So I think it's like, I don't know if this point comes across like very well, if I'm explaining very well, but I think it's actually a very, very important point. You have to be someone that's be like okay pushing yourself to be hands-on, as opposed to the platform itself pushing you to be hands-on. Need some water. What else do I have here? Yeah, and all the career stuff, like it's a course, right? So I don't think it's fair to be evaluated on like the courses itself. So it's just gonna, if you're gonna buy this course, it's gonna be for learning. Like you shouldn't be like, I'm gonna do this and then just get a job using this. Although on an actual 365 data science platform, they do have courses to cover interview process and things like that. And I have a link for 57% off for the like full data science platform, which is like subscription based itself, and it offers different modules. But for this course specifically, I don't think we should talk about career stuff. So that's not really what it's meant for. All right, let me see your pros and cons. Sevi, why are you still awake? Oh my God. Go to sleep, Sevi. All right. I'm kidding. You don't have to go to sleep if you don't want to. I'm saying I really appreciate it that you're actually still sticking around. Let me see. Arturo, should you binge the course and do projects or go along with the walkthrough? I think you should go along with the walkthrough. Do not binge the course. Just you're not going to remember all that information anyway if you don't start implementing them. So definitely don't just binge watch everything. Let's see. Daniel, how did you get to work as a data scientist without experience? I'm going to explain that later. Just TLDR, I did have experience. Let's see. Soy boomer doomer low IQ. If you know fluent Python, you pretty much are a master. I guess you're a master of Python, at least. Sebi, you guys did see the animations. That's good. I guess like sometimes you get to see it, sometimes you don't. Kanab 365 would be way too crazy in depth for me. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. So that's why I was like emphasizing the point. Like it has to be someone who like really wants to know stuff. I also want to say like if you're gonna be taking this 365, I don't think it's a bad idea just to use it as more of a resource or a guide, as opposed to like, you know, just like go through every single thing and then, you know, do it like that. Like I don't think it's a bad idea just to use it as more of a supplementary information as you learn more and more about data science. Like start implementing your own projects and stuff, and then use it more as like supplementary, and maybe introducing you to like deep learning or like topics like that in the future. As like a beginner course, I can see it as being a bit overwhelming for sure. Biospiral just got the Udemy course. Gonna start in 2 days. Awesome. Let me know how it goes. This Max Bond, this course looks fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's pretty in-depth. Polens, I love knowing my stuff, so I prefer 365 data science, and I have an active subscription with them. Cons, I find it more difficult to actually follow along. Yep, I definitely can see that happening. I think in general, it's just like, because it's not that instant gratification, like applied learning kind of thing, it's harder to like stay focused and, you know, be disciplined enough to implement stuff. Definitely understand. Okay, cool. If we don't have any more comments, let's see. What do I have? Okay, the last thing I want to say is like for tips for those that are choosing this specific resource. My first one is that I think I've kind of like just rambled on about this so many times. I'm just gonna say it one more time. I apologize for being rambly. Implement things yourself. You really need to implement things yourself. Don't just follow along. Like that's gonna be your biggest trap with 365 data science, like this Udemy course at least. It's going to be like you're just going to sit there and binge watch and get too lazy and not actually do anything. I think this is going to be a really, really, really big trap. So please, please, please don't do that. Download everything yourself and actually go through it. And in terms of like do the case study, and then you also want to apply everything that you learned into projects. Like, this is important for any resource, but especially important for this resource because it's covering things in so much depth, and the video style lecture and follow along is just more passive than you implementing things directly by yourself. So you really, really, really need to take that knowledge and apply it to your own projects, especially the more like in-depth knowledge. It's hard to conceptualize these things if you're not implementing them, and then you'll probably just like forget very easily or just like not understand it at all to begin with. And finally, my other tip is that don't be so afraid to skip over some of the concepts and the beginning parts. Like this is a very comprehensive course, and it's there for people who want to go through it, but it doesn't mean that you need to go through every single little detail, right? Like it's not, I'm just gonna switch my face again. It's not something that is like you have to go through every single step to master data science. And my hunch is that this is like a kind of course where you're going to be going through it once and implementing stuff, hopefully, and you're going to be coming back and referencing it over time because these concepts that are being presented, they're so in-depth, there's so much information that's being involved. I really doubt that you're able to learn and understand everything perfectly the first time around. You're going to come back and re-reference them over and over again. So it's just like, don't see this as like, let me do this one time and then forever be okay kind of course. And also don't be afraid to like skip over some concepts in the beginning if they're too difficult or you don't really understand what they're talking about. And that's okay, right? Implement stuff that you can implement. And then once you start learning more, you will realize that these concepts that seem very conceptual in the beginning, they start making more sense in the future. Yep, so that's all I have for my tips and resources, for tips on using this resource if you choose it. I'm done with my little notebook. All right, well, we covered through everything. Oh, are you guys tired? I think I'm pretty pumped. I'm not tired. I'm like, it's like sigh of, we did it. We went through it. I'm pretty pumped. I really love doing these live streams and I love chatting with you guys as well. All right, I'm gonna stick around for, I want to say like 15 minutes, maybe. I'm gonna set a cap around at 15 minutes or so I can go grab dinner, but I'm happy to answer any questions to my best of my ability. Sebi, Tina reading her notes like she's reading scripture. You think? I want to see how ugly my notes are though. I'll show you. Like I can't even read my own notes. Do you see it? It's like, if you see me like going like this, it's because I can't read what I wrote. Let's see, Maxwell, if you're looking to train a group of data scientists for your company, which data camp would you recommend them to learn? Is that I don't think you meant it to be like you should choose Datacamp, but I'm sorry. Which data camp would you recommend them to learn, and what additional assignments would you ask them to complete? Yo, that's hard. That's hard. I think it really depends on what kind of company you are, right? Like, and okay, Here's the clue in your question though. If I'm trying to train a group of data scientists for your company, so they're already data scientists, right? Oh, are you asking me like which Datacamp course I would recommend? Because I would recommend Datacamp because you're already a data scientist. You're not trying to change your career or anything. So I would recommend like Datacamp for that, and then it would be like whatever extra resource that you need for your data scientists to learn, right? Like maybe something that for data scientists is like Tableau or something, because most data scientists, at least if you come from like a CS background like I do, it's like you don't really touch that kind of stuff, so you kind of got to figure it out yourself. In fact, I didn't even know how to use Excel. I had to learn how to use Excel. I also think that the 365 data science course is a really great reference material to come back to over time. Like it's something that you should be going back to because it's easy to forget a lot of these concepts or like the application of these concepts. So it's always good to go back and review the basics. Yashu, I still can't choose whether I should go down the path of data science or stick to software engineering since I haven't developed any interest yet. Job is the goal at present. Well, I have a video on that, so why don't you check that out and see how you feel about data science versus software engineering. Hasib, it's 5 a.m. in Pakistan. Love from Pakistan. Oh my god, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh. Ibrahim, your med degree paid off. The notes. How is god awful? I suppose that is true. It's the only thing that I have learned. Let's see. Ibrahim, what am I having for dinner? It's a good question. That's what I was thinking about. I'm like, that's why I'm capping at 7:15 because I'm kind of hungry. I don't know what I'm having for dinner. I'm thinking like barbecue chicken, maybe. Like I barbecue my own chicken, but really like pan fry barbecue chicken with barbecue sauce, probably. What else would I have? Yeah, it's probably gonna be chicken today. Chicken and rice. I love rice. I just like can't not eat rice every day. Like every single meal. Can you please take my name, please? Hasib. I spoke your name. Is that what you wanted me to say? Omar, hey Tina, I wasn't able to listen to your tips. Can you post them somewhere? Yes, I will. This live is still going to be available afterwards, and I'm going to probably do a condensed version. I might like split them up into like the 3 separate courses, resources, so it's less a huge chunk of information. But I will be posting that information. And 75, how do you learn from a course and remember all the content? As I am not a data scientist yet and therefore cannot apply the content in the courses to my job. Any tips? Well, my answer to that is that you don't remember all the content, right? You remember frameworks. You remember processes of doing things, and if you don't remember specific information, you know where to look back. Like you know what you don't know, so you kind of fill in that information. And as over time, the things that you use very, very often, they're gonna stick to your head. And the things that you might not use very often, but you learned about in the past, when they come up, you're like, oh, I remember that I had to like deal with this. I remember learning about this at some point. Like I better go and look it up how it works. What's a good example? Oh, here's a good example. Like I can never pronounce this word. Heterodicity. You guys know what I'm talking about? Oh man. Okay, can someone pronounce it? Can someone type it? I don't even know how to type it. Heterodicity. Oh man, I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. But it's like that concept, right? You could like probably forget what you're supposed to do in that case, but then when you notice it in your data, you're like, oh crap, you know. And then you're like, I better look up how to deal with that situation again because I don't remember. So you go and look that up. So it's not like you just sit there and remember everything. Can someone type what that word is? I can't pronounce it. Or type it. Heterodicity. Just hetero. Theacity. I apologize. I hope that made sense. I hope that helped. Hasib, I have major in medicine, but I'm doing software engineering as well. I do coding for like 4 hours. I want to go into cybersecurity. Cool. Very cool. James, what do I think about the platform? Which platform are we talking about? Sorry, I don't know which platform we're talking about. Franun, I'm actually doing an intern in Amazon as data analyst. Do you know anyone in Amazon to share how they're feeling about the workplace and if it is rewarding / profitable? I will not be tricked into saying where I work. I'm kidding. I know you're not trying to trick me, but I'm afraid that I cannot answer this question without revealing if I work or do not work at Amazon. I do recommend that you reach out to people in your workplace, and generally I find that if you reach out to people at your workplace, people are pretty nice and responsive to what you want to say, and just kind of reach out and start those connections and start talking to people, or like talking to your manager, or like people who are also in your role, and you'll learn very quickly, because everybody likes to gossip and talk about other companies as well. Let's see. ACTZ, you're going to school for data science, but you're working as a SWE. I did a CS master's, and then working as a data scientist. So I guess I'm the opposite of you. Pikaka, boot camps versus DS masters. I think it depends on the person. Bootcamp, if you're going for a bootcamp, you have to be more driven, I want to say. And for bootcamps, data science bootcamps, they have like certain requirements. Like some of them literally only accept math PhDs or like some sort of PhDs, because they're just basically teaching them how to implement stuff. So if you have like zero background, I think you should consider that carefully if you're going for a bootcamp. DS Master is more conservative approach, I would say. Yeah, I'm not going to go into like too much detail, because I can like make an entire video about that. But yeah, just look into, definitely do your research on this and understand yourself very well. Like for me, I don't think I would have done well at a bootcamp, to be honest, because I have a very short attention span. I just, I get bored easily, and I didn't have a background in anything that's like technical previously, so it would have been quite challenging for me. And you have to be like very driven, like in the sense you have to go do your networking, do everything like very, very, like hands-on approach. And at least at that time, like maybe now, maybe I would be able to, but at that time, I would not have had the confidence to be able to do well. Let's see, more questions. Heterodiaceticity. Yeah, I'm sorry, I literally can't pronounce it. On 75, what I'm trying to explain previously was just that there's going to be concepts that you remember, but you don't exactly remember it, like you don't remember the details, but because you've seen it in the past. So when situations do occur, you don't memorize them, right? You just remember that at one point there was such a thing that you have seen in the past, so you go and Google it instead, and then you fix your problem. Like it's not like you're supposed to memorize every single little bit that you're studying, right? Like, and remember it and know how to use it all the time exactly. Like that's never going to be the case, and it's very, very difficult to do so. So don't get stressed out about that. Hasib, you do freelancing as a web developer, but it's too time consuming, like working on a website. I think all jobs. I mean, I don't think data science is less time consuming, to be honest. I guess it depends on where you work specifically. Let's see. Max Bond, I would love to do a comparison between online courses and my data science master's and NYU in 1 year. Yeah, why not? You should make a video about it. Do I work at Amazon, ACTZ? Who knows? I don't know. Could be. 20% chance. Ah, duck meat. Thank you. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I think it's pinned up as well. Thanks so much. Thanks for supporting me. Okay. Duck meat. Your question? Sorry, I'm like kind of scrolling through. I don't think you had a specific question, right? No. Okay. I appreciate it. Sebi, ACTZ depends on company. For example, Techly got fired because he revealed he worked for Facebook. If I'm not wrong. So yeah, I'm not gonna comment anymore about where I work. Let's just not talk about it. I'm scared. Let's see. Hugh, what are pros and cons of being a data analyst versus data scientist? Oh, that's so hard. Is Albert around? I want Albert to be able to chime in. Again, it's gonna be like a whole video on it. Well, I can tell you about some of the differences. I feel like some of the differences is that data analyst is more like specific to the business role. So whatever it is that you're working on is going to be more like product driven or business aligned, as opposed to data scientists that are usually less so. It would be more like, here's an issue that we have to solve, and then you kind of talk to people to try to figure out like what the issue is, and then you go and solve it using like more technical tools. As opposed to data analyst, it might just be more like fast analyses. Like maybe your boss is like, we're losing revenue. It's like kind of consulting type questions, for example, like, we're losing revenue, why are we losing revenue? And as a data analyst, you're just going to be like, oh crap. And then you do like a segmentation and you figure out where you're losing money, and then you present it like with some sort of visualization, for example. So that's something that a typical data analyst will do a lot. With a data scientist, you kind of do that once in a while as well, but it could be more like, we have this like issue that we're trying to solve. Like, how do we detect anomalies in this specific thing? And then you're like, as a data scientist, you might go and implement a model to be able to do the anomaly detection. You're still solving a real life business problem, but you might just be like spending more time doing it as opposed to just doing like segmentations, which is quite quick. Hope that made sense. Let's see. Oh no, did Max go? Bye, Max. Bye, Max. Thanks for joining. What are machine learning? What to do for ML engineers? Yeah, it's a great question. So most machine learning engineers that I know come from a software engineering background, because machine learning these days is very CS heavy, right? If you don't actually have to know how any of these things work to be able to use them very well. So ML engineers generally come from like you're like a software engineer, and then you start using like ML packages more and more often, and you start playing around with them more, and you're implementing it from a software engineering perspective. So that's kind of the trend that I'm seeing. As a data scientist, you do models and stuff, but you're not like using, like, if you're going to go and use like GPT-3, like things like that, that's generally what ML engineers are going to be using a lot. Does that make sense? So if you're going to want to be an ML engineer, I would say like learn to be a software engineer. Like the skill sets that software engineers do is going to be more relevant to you. Know how to code properly, know how to use, the major thing is like know how to code. Very important. And also the software engineering lifecycle and these things is going to be more relevant. Shamit, what are the advantages of subscribing to the 365 data science program on their website compared to just doing a Udemy course? So if you're subscribing to 365 Data Science on their website, you get access to all the courses. On the Udemy course, you get access to one course. And on the platform, you also get more perks that are related. I'm just like, let me show you guys. Actually, let me show you guys. Yeah, there you go. So this is what the platform looks like. There we go. Yeah, this is what the platform looks like. So in module 1, it's a bunch of different courses, right? Like it's not just one course, and you have a bunch of different modules as well. And then you also get like support and resources, like you have Q&A hub, and certifications. That's something that you get as well. So you get like more stuff. So I would, if you really want to compare directly, like Dataquest, Datacamp, and 365 Data Science, you would be comparing them based upon platform as opposed to the course itself, because it's more like cohesive. I hope that made sense. That means no platform is a wrong option. More knowledge is better regardless of the platform. Yes, that really is true. No platform is the wrong option. It really is like whatever works better for you. And yeah, it's really, I think it's more about like what works the best for you. Like, what are the things that work really well? I think that's the thing. That's why I'm refraining from saying like you should definitely choose this one, because I don't think that's the case at all, right? Like you should choose the one that you feel like resonated the most with you, like the one that you kind of see yourself doing the most, because that's what's gonna matter. And each of these are very good at what they do. Let's just say that. Like there's a reason why you guys even asked me to review them as opposed to like some other ones, right? It's because they are very popular and there's good reason to. Sebi, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. This is for keeping me entertained. Thank you. I'm really glad I was entertaining to you. And it's like, oh my god, it's like 5:18. Sebi, go to bed. Go to bed, Sebi. Will you still be able to wake up tomorrow? I'm very sorry that You have to stay up all the way until 5 a.m. to hang out with me. I promise next time I'll do a poll. I think mornings will work better for people on India time. Is it called IST, like India Standard Time? I think it is. I think it's Indian Standard Time, right? Oh, it's 5:49 a.m. Holy crap. Okay. Please, if you're from India Standard Time, I ask that you go to bed, okay? I care about you guys, and I feel really bad. Okay. So I'm probably gonna go and bounce now. Sevi, it's Sunday. Okay, I'm gonna leave Sebi, so you go to bed as well. Everybody else, where it's a terrible, like, ungodly hour, go to bed, please. Don't feel obligated to hang out and stay. Thank you guys all so much again for joining. I'm sorry if I didn't manage to get to your question. Like, oh, Pudding as well. I'm so sorry. I didn't even see that. Thank you so much, Pudding. Like, sorry, I like totally missed. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, like I really love doing like live streams with you guys, and just I really hope that the live stream today was helpful for everyone. It's just, yeah, like I really hope it was helpful. I'll be condensing these into like separate videos as well, just to make it more digestible, and the live stream will still be there as well. So hopefully that was good. And please, if you have any like comments, if you have any like comments or just like suggestions for live streams or like anything else, please do let me know. I do read all of the comments, even though I don't really have time to reply to every single one anymore. But yes, the things that you tell me, the things that you say, I really take that to heart, and I try to improve over time. I hope you guys can see that. Okay, thank you all so much for coming. Please go to bed for those of you that need to go to bed. And yeah, I'll see you guys hopefully on Monday's live stream, where my next video. See you. Bye.